The base has dropped on a new edition of Soccer Down Here. It's a Wednesday. It's a Wall Pass Wednesday. We're taking your questions throughout the show. You can tweet at us at Soccer Down Here. You can join us on the Twitch pitch, twitch.tv/Soccer Down Here. You can send us an email, soccerdownhere@gmail. You can even send us a question on the Discord. If you are a subscriber on Twitch, if you're a member of our Patreon page, you have access to our Discord. And yes, a lot of people are jumping on board the Amazon Prime free Twitch subscription process and subscribing to Soccer Down Here on Twitch. And we thank you for it. And anybody who was hanging out last night, the Discord was a lot of fun during ConcaChampions League. It's a good match. It was a really good match. Tigres and LAFC did not end the way a lot of MLS fans were hoping it would. LAFC scored first. They conceded twice. They ended up losing 2-0 to a top team in this hemisphere in Tigres. And we'll jump into a lot of the fallout from that match as well. John, you were watching the match. I think you might have fallen asleep. I don't know. Discord might have gotten a little complicated for you. You were writing things down. That's good. It did look like words. It didn't just like tail off where it was like a line in your face. It hit the legal pad.
Like,
yeah, it did look like words. What's your number one takeaway from last night's match?
Wow.
It's not that hard of a question. Jeez.
Well, no, but I mean, I think that see, my number one takeaway is Tigres is the bomb. I mean, then they've been the team of the
what?
They're the bomb. They're the team of the decade, man.
What a plonker.
The bomb. It's just 1993, John.
Yeah. But until the list came out and everything that they've accomplished over the last decade, it didn't hit me that they had done all of that stuff. So I guess it's probably one of the most just quiet, business-like kind of things where they've accomplished all of these different titles, had all these different appearances. It's, to me, what you've got to tip your hat to Tuca Ferretti as manager. I would say Tuca Ferretti, manager of the decade in Liga MX for everything that he has accomplished in all the different competitions.
Yeah, it was 2-1. I'm really tired. I think I said that wrong. But I did say LAFC scored first.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was a long night. They have a whole bunch of stuff if you're Tigres. The one thing that was missing was the ConcaChampions. And it was something that Andre Pierre Gignac has made very, very clear with lots of very strong language.
Yes.
As to how important it was, and he finally did get the blanking title and cup and all that. He was very, very happy about this. 5 league titles. Now, Mexico does 2 titles a year, remember that, but 5 titles in the last decade, 1 Copa MX, 3 of the Campeón de Campeones matches, the Super Cup, essentially. 1 Campeones Cup, they won the first one in 2019, or in 2018. 4 finals appearances for CONCACAF Champions League, and now 1 title. They are the CONCACAF team of the decade in my book, and Tuca Ferretti deserved this. He'd been close many, many times. 3 of the last 4 coming in. They were the better team, and that's not to say LAFC was bad. I think this is a final in which both teams played well. LAFC missing Edward Atuesta, missing maybe that one extra player on the bench that would have given them something different. They didn't really have it. The midfield started to lose the control a little bit as things went on, and LAFC just couldn't handle. They just couldn't handle it and get to that point to hold off Tigres. They just couldn't quite do it. But it's not a negative. Every time you lose in a final, it doesn't mean like you played bad. The other team's just a little bit better. And that's how I felt like it went down. And both managers had a ton of respect for one another. Tuca Ferretti on LAFC. Personally, I like a lot how Bradley manages, coaches, and how his team plays. We beat a great opponent that plays well on the ball, recovers well with a high press, a low press, and from all sides. And Bradley, because he got the questions that Marcelo Bielsa's been getting, that any manager who wants to play in any kind of style like this will get after a loss, because everything's great when you're winning, but the style's the problem when you lose. He said when you have a team and you establish a way of playing and you establish an identity, if all of a sudden the game doesn't go your way, you have a period where you're not quite as good. It's not like you then say, all right, forget that, we're going to try something different. That's bullish. This is from Bob Bradley. That's not how you ever become a good team. You become a good team when you have real football ideas and everybody's committed to the work, and then every time you continue to try to get better. They have established a way of playing, and Bob Bradley's done an amazing job with that in a short period of time. That is a credit to them. The questions about LAFC that I have are nothing to do with their play style, their idea of the way that they want to approach matches. I do worry about their mentality a little bit in these kinds of games, because we've seen that pop up multiple times over the years. They were looked second best against RSL in the 2018 postseason. They looked second best against Seattle in the 2019 postseason at home in the Western Conference Final. They haven't played well in the Open Cup either. This year they were the underdog to Seattle, and they lost. That was no surprise. But there's been games where they have been a favorite, and they've been expected to go through, and they haven't. This wasn't that. But it did look like they tightened up as the night went on. Was that down to missing Atuesta? Was that down to seeing Carlos Vela really start to get tired and feel the effects of all the minutes he's played in this tournament? Don't know. But it is a question mark for them going forward. It's not about the way they play, it's the mentality. And I think they have to get a little bit better defensively. I still don't think Kenneth Vermeer is good enough to get them to that next level. I don't know if their defense is good enough to get them to that next level. Feels like upgrades are needed on that side.
No, and as you were going through it, the word that I wrote down for LAFC was defense. And it was Vermeer and the back, and we've seen it in Major League Soccer, and it just once again was another instance where they need to address the issues at the back, and that for me is the biggest thing that I looked at with LAFC about going forward. I know a lot of folks on the timeline and a lot of folks in and around were sitting there and looking at LAFC and sitting there saying, yeah, I want an MLS team to win CONCACAF Champions League. I really do. And the fact that you got another team get right there to the end, it's now they're banging on the door again, and the margins are getting closer when it comes to Liga MX sides and Major League Soccer sides going at each other in the competition. Now it's just that moment where you're waiting for that MLS team to finally get the Duke in a game like this.
Yeah, but I don't think it means anything in the overall balance of which one's better. Has the gap been closed? I mean, Bradley shut that conversation down really fast last night. The gap has absolutely been closed. It's the final hump now. It's winning these games. It's getting over that mental pressure, that mental block. It's those kinds of elements. It's not about the quality anymore. MLS is right there with Liga MX in terms of quality across the board. At the top, yeah, Tigres, some other teams have a little more depth. There's nothing wrong with that. That's down to MLS and limiting the spending and being a little bit more of the long-term play here as opposed to the short-term mentality that permeates Mexican football. But you look and you compare the market values, and this has actually changed a little bit in the last couple of years. You want to start comparing leagues. Now, of course, MLS is a little bit bigger, so you're not going to compare overall total. LAFC total market value of their roster is higher than anybody in Mexico. I think that has changed really quickly because of some of the valuations of players that are jumping on the American front, but also with a player like Diego Rossi's, whose value has jumped in a big way. Vela's value is high. Brian Rodriguez's value is high. Monterrey is the most valuable side, and this is, again, it's value. It's an estimate. Payroll is going to be higher in Mexico across the board because they don't have a salary cap. That factors in. But Monterrey, Club America, Cruz Azul, Chivas, Tigres, all over the $60 million valuation for their roster. On the MLS front, you're looking at LA and Miami over that. Atlanta's $2.5 million under, actually $2.36 million under that. So just under it. And I think Atlanta's is probably a little undervalued when you start to look at the rapid increases on young American players. So George Bello is probably one that's undervalued here. So, okay, let's say 3. Let's bump them over it. Let's say they'd be there by the start of next season against 5. It's not that big of a difference. When you get further down, yeah, you've got a team like Querétaro, who is valued at $18.8 million in terms of their roster. That would be the lowest across both of the leagues. But MLS, you've got RSL, you've got San Jose, you've got Houston, you've got Vancouver, all under 25. In Mexico, you've got Mazatlan, Puebla, and Querétaro under 25. I think the bottom end is MLS is better. I think the middle end is very competitive. I think the top end, slightly shaded to Mexico. Very, very slightly shaded, and that could flip next spring in CONCACAF Champions League. It's that close. The gap is gone. Now it's about winning games where you should be winning games.
And for me, the other issue, if you want to call it an issue for LAFC, is the bench. And Bob Bradley seems to not have, whether it's confidence in bringing in bench players in key moments and things like that, or having a bench to go to. It seems like his bench to me is very, very short.
Well,
when it comes,
yeah, I mean that's what we've been talking about, John. Like you have a cap.
Yeah.
So where is it going to affect
the point
you?
that I was going to bring in.
Yeah, but that's where we're at. So go there first, because that's what we're talking about. That's the difference. That's the difference right now. Is Tigres can go out and spend and not have any limitations, so their bench is going to be better. LAFC runs into limitations. So you look at it last night and what they had on their bench. You didn't have a lot of options to turn it. You had Brian Rodriguez. Okay, that's kind of a fortunate situation, I think, because you haven't sold Diego Rossi yet. You did not have Edward Atuesta, so that hurt you because that meant Cifuentes is in the starting lineup, so you didn't have him available to come off the bench. Beyond that, you just didn't have a lot of game changers. You swapped out young forward for young forward, Musovski for Opoku. Unused subs, Christian Torres, who's 16, Bryce Duke, who's young, very limited experience, Eric Duenas, who's young, Jordan Harvey, who's a veteran in the back, Antonio Leone, young in the back, Mohamed El Munir, a veteran left-sided player, Dejan Jakovic, a veteran center back. You just didn't have as much. There's more quality on the Tigres bench because you don't have those limitations. That's just real. That's not a Bob Bradley thing. I think at times you throw that at Bradley. In a CONCACAF final, are you supposed to turn to Bryce Duke and ask him to go change the game?
No.
Yeah, you can't. Now, if you want to get into it that during the season he should be rotating more and giving these guys minutes so they're in a position to be able to contribute in these moments, sure. That's a valid conversation. But where they are, you look at that bench. I mean, you had Janela who came on. You had Rodriguez who came on when you went for it at the very end to go for it. And Opoku was a straight swap for Musovski. There just wasn't a whole lot of options.
No. And, once again, that's what we talk about with MLS, is that you are in a salary cap situation. There's only so much you can do. And you end up with, you got the roster that you have, and you do the best with it that you can. And Bob Bradley got to a CONCACAF Champions League final with it.
Yeah, and he should have. I mean, he didn't get there that he shouldn't have. They are the most valuable team in the two leagues. They did what they should be doing. I think a little bit of the, nobody is, what was LAFC's tweet about, let's prove everybody wrong.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, the valuations of the rosters, they have the most valuable roster. They should be getting to these things. That's inaccurate. But they've got to start winning them now. And yes, the depth, okay, fine. Then your frontline talent's better, so go show it with that group. it was a weird tournament, and Alex Bassine brings up a good point. Like, I'm not saying they would have won with Atuesta. They would have had one more option for sure. They would have been better, I think. But they also didn't have to play over 2 legs against Cruz Azul. They didn't have to play over 2 legs against Club America. They didn't have to play over 2 legs against Tigres. They didn't have to go play in Mexico and get a result. These things didn't happen. They did not play well in Leon in Game 1, but they played great in Game 2 before the pandemic to advance in the first round. So things fell into their lap. They were not able to take full advantage. They couldn't see that out. It was a good performance from them. It was a better performance from Tigres. Now we look forward to the Club World Cup, and Matt Wagner had a question about the layout of it, because the way they do this, it's 7 teams. We don't know who the Copa Libertadores winner will be just yet. They will advance on January 30th when the Copa Libertadores final is, and the Club World Cup is February 1st to the 11th. The reason why you can have that short of a window with the Libertadores final is they go straight into the semifinal. Bayern Munich goes straight into the semifinal as the winners of the UEFA Champions League. The first round is the hosts from Qatar, Al Dahail, and Auckland City from Oceania. So that's your first round. The winner goes into the second round, and they have not done the draw yet. They will play one of these teams, and the other 2 will play against each other in the second round. Al Ahly, Ulsan Hyundai. Al Ahly is the African Champions League winners. Ulsan Hyundai is the recent Asian Champions League winners, and now Tigres as the CONCACAF Champions League winners. That's your second round games. Those winners go into the semifinals to face. One will face Bayern. One will face the winner of the Libertadores. Ricky asked also a question about it's getting expanded, though, in future editions. It was set to actually this year or next year, and now that's been postponed. It's a little unclear as to whether it will be always expanded or expanded every 4 years, which is awkward. They need to get this sorted out because it's very confusing. I'd like to see it expanded. Where can you fit it into the calendar to truly expand it on a regular basis? There's not anywhere. They were going to expand it in those 4 years to replace the Confederations Cup, essentially. I don't know how it truly ends up working. I just don't. Matt says, what gives UEFA and Libertadores priority? Quality. There's just no way around it. This used to be a game between the European and South American champions, and that was it. Nobody else was invited to the party. It was the Intercontinental Cup. They would not accept coming in to play more games because they're breaking from their regular seasons too. I mean, everybody is, but who has the clout? A UEFA and a CONMEBOL. They're the ones who can say, yeah, we're only going to play 2 games max. That's it. You want us in? Fine. Otherwise, we're not doing this nonsense. And they always are the ones who are there. Yeah, Matt, you can say all that. That's fine. It's never going to change that way. It's never changing. You go tell Bayern Munich, and you go tell, more importantly, UEFA, and you go tell CONMEBOL, suck it up, Buttercup.
That'd be a no.
To play the African and Asian Champions League winners, yeah, it's not happening. You haven't had a winner come from anybody else. You've had a finalist come occasionally from one of the others, but very, very rarely. So the power is in the hands of the teams that are constantly winning it, and they're calling the shots. So we will see. What were you going to say? Sorry.
No, it's just do we have a set date for the 2021 Club World Cup yet?
Yeah, I just said it. February 1st to the 11th.
Okay.
Of 21. This is the 2020 Club World Cup.
Sorry, I'm like a year ahead in my brain.
No, but this is why let's make sure you don't get confused. So write this down. This would normally be in December, remember? But you can't have it in December because the Copa Libertadores isn't done yet. So they had to push it back. So it's going to be the 2020 Club World Cup in February 2021.
Okay.
Then the idea, I believe, is to get back to normal for 2021, which would be in December in Japan. So it's just pushed back a couple of months.
Okay.
Johannes chimes in on the match last night. Thought LAFC had enough quality to win, but at the highest level, the margins are thin. Last night it was exemplified by Vela's miss, and that miss ended up becoming huge. And then who didn't miss? Gignac. That's how these things go. That Vela miss, that's the one. That's the one that you could see how much it meant to him after the final whistle. You could see how much it meant to both teams in different ways after the final whistle. This tournament's becoming a bigger deal because you're getting bigger teams that are putting more of an emphasis on it, and that's a really good thing. The emotional reactions you saw last night are a very important thing for this to continue to grow. The quality of the game last night, too, is another thing that will go into this growing and becoming a bigger and bigger deal.
Bart is in this morning, and he asks, do you think LAFC regret trading away Tyler Miller to pick up Vermeer? Not sure that position has been an improvement this year.
It hasn't, but I don't think it stepped back. The one that is their biggest issue is that they traded Walker Zimmerman and didn't go replace him. It was a great haul that they got. I'll give them that. I mean, they got good return for it. I think Nashville's happy with what they gave up too, but they didn't have a replacement plan. And, I mean, during the season, they didn't finish as high as they probably should have because Dejan Jakovic isn't good enough. It's a big step down. And they got Murillo in on loan finally, and they're not going to do the purchase option unless they've changed their mind or they renegotiate it. He helped them. He got them to this point. He gave them some stability on the back line, but it's still not good enough. That's a bigger issue than goalkeeper for me. Goalkeeper is a big issue. And, whether it was Tyler Miller, whether it's Cisniega, whether it's Vermeer, they've never settled on anybody. They've got to get a goalkeeper they can trust. But center back, I think they need even more because I could see them getting through with a Vermeer in goal with a stud center back. I can't see them getting through, even with a great goalkeeper, with their defense as leaky at times as it's been.
Yeah, Turner Kirby, a part of the brigade that wants an MLS team to win CCL. He's just kind of glad it wasn't LAFC.
I don't care. Honestly, if it had, like I've said before, if it had been in Orlando, or Red Bulls, I would have been, man, I don't want them to win at all. If LAFC had won, it would have been a credit to what they've done. The hype is a little rich at times. Some of the comments about it's so incredible what they've done in 3 years, and this is unbelievable, and it's so amazing, and it's such a wonderful thing, and the sweet tooth is activating over here because it's just laid on so thick. Yeah, there's another team that has won 3 trophies, won MLS Cup, won a trophy against a Mexican team, won the Open Cup in their first 3 years. Just saying. And, that third year was considered a failure for some, which I don't know. I don't know. I just don't understand that. But anyway, we'll leave that to the side. We'll try to figure it out later. That's the issue, is just the favored nation status at times of the way that LAFC is talked about. And it's a little strange, but it doesn't take away from what they've done. They have built a really good program. They've built a really good project. Bob Bradley's done a great, great job coaching that team. They play good soccer. They play a fun style to watch. They have accomplished things. They did get to a final of the CONCACAF Champions League. They have won a Supporters' Shield. They are a very good club, and I don't see it fading away anytime soon. They've got some tough decisions to make, though, at the end of year 3, as another club had at the end of year 3. Diego Rossi, you've got to sell, I think, at some point. He's at his maximum value. I think the longer you hold on, the more risk you bring into play there. You brought in Brian Rodriguez to be the Rossi replacement, and now Brian Rodriguez might be getting interest to go. You might have to sell him too. There is talk about Carlos Vela going to Mexico. I mean, that's out there. I don't know if the offer is going to be good enough to get it done, but that's your 3 designated players. You've got to get a better goalkeeper. You've got to get a better center back. You will have offers on Atuesta. You have had an offer on Blessing, but it's a small one. Janela and Cifuentes will get offers at some point. We don't know contract situations for everybody, so that's going to play into what you might have to do in terms of selling or trading within the league. So it's going to be a tough offseason for LAFC. There's a lot of decisions to make. I think they have to sell somebody in January. Probably Rossi. I just don't know if the offer is going to be good enough. And then the longer you kick it down the road, the more you're not going to be able to fully realize the value of Brian Rodriguez. Because he's going to get antsy and want to go ahead and go. And there's already offers there, and they're not what they should be because he's not playing a ton. So Rossi has developed. You've done a great job there. Rodriguez hasn't had the time to play to develop, so you'd basically be, moving him on for about what you paid for him, which isn't bad. It's not what you had planned on. And then you got to go replace him. And that's not always easy. So it's going to get interesting for LAFC going into year 4, but they've done an amazing job. The two clubs that have come in and pushed this league forward, Atlanta and LAFC, have raised the bar. They 100% have raised the bar in so many different ways, and now the pressure's on both to maintain that because people are coming for them.
Jason Heinley's in this morning, says, well, I went to sleep thinking LAFC would pull it off, but woke up to the realization that even they want Atlanta United to be the first MLS team to win CCL.
Yeah. Heinley couldn't hang in the Discord. He got a little tired. I thought John had fallen asleep at one point, but he did not. He woke back up at least.
Well, no, I was multitasking. I was having to write my weekly column in one place, listening. I was watching the match, taking notes, writing a column, so I was multiple screens.
True. Okay. Byrne talking about Club World Cup says Bayern Munich will have to reschedule 3 league games in February to play the Club World Cup. They're not happy about it. No way they're doing that in a normal year. Normally, I guess they'd have to reschedule 2 tops, I would think, or maybe not even any, because I think it might fall in that Bundesliga winter break in a normal year. Yeah. Not a normal year, not a normal season, so I think people are accommodating it. But, yeah, you're not going to be able to get more. The only way you have an expanded Club World Cup is in that summer window where the Confederations Cup would have been. That's it. That's the only way.
Nathan Pugh's in with a couple of thoughts this morning. I'll give you his CONCACAF Champions League thought. He says, what was the XG on that drag back Vela? I think it was Vela. Shot at the top of the box at 1-0. Great Sid Bream slide to save Tigres. That.
I have not seen any XG numbers on that game last night. I'm going to look real fast and see if they pop up. I don't know what that one was, but it was incredibly even, which is what the game felt like. Tigres was 1.02 XG, and LAFC was 0.99. So, feels about right.
Coming off of Jason Heinley, 5 takes on the 5 stripe, says that LAFC is just never there for the big moments, but despite their Bear Trophy cabinet, they'll probably still be talked about as best in the league. Shrug shoulders emoji.
I'm going to have to stand up and defend LAFC for a second. It is not a Bear Trophy cabinet. They have a supporter shield. You can feel however you want about the supporter shield. They set a record. They have that. You can't take that away from them. I think it's the 3rd most important trophy in MLS because I think the Open Cup is more important. You could argue the supporter shield is more important. I don't think it is because it's not a balanced schedule and it's getting more unbalanced as you go. But you can put it second. That's fine. They do have that trophy, and you can't take that one away. So it's not Bear. They've got one.
Tafka's in with a couple of thoughts. He says, LAFC outplayed Tigres by a small margin for 65 minutes. Vela had the game on his boot, but took half a second too long. His shot was blocked. They lost control of the match after scoring.
I don't know. I don't know if it's that simple. I don't know how much control they had, and I don't know if Tigres was ever panicked, which would lead you to believe LAFC didn't have control. I think it was just even. I think the game had a couple of swings. The first 10 minutes was Tigres. LAFC were on their heels. After that, LAFC was pretty good for the rest of the first half, but they didn't really get a whole lot to show for it. Second half, they get the goal, not against the run of play, but they weren't dominating at that point. Then Tigres comes back. I think LAFC did get tired. I think that's maybe the biggest thing that affected the game.
Yeah.
But it was just really even. I don't know if either team really ever had control of it. I'll tell you who had control. The man of the match is the referee. He was perfect. 40 fouls, didn't have to show a card once. Complete control. Never got, bubbled up to where it looked like things were going to have Conca madness. It never got there. Yes, you had some complaints about fouls. Yes, you had some complaints about not calling fouls.
Yeah.
That was not a penalty on Latif Blessing early, in my opinion. I can't think of anything that he missed. You could have given a yellow for persistent infringement on fouls on Vela. It wasn't ever the same player. Tigres did a good job of that.
Yeah.
It never felt egregious to me. I think because mostly it was attempts to play the ball. It wasn't, the cynical, like, okay, I'm beaten and I'm going to kick him from behind foul. I thought the referee did a great job in a final. It was one of the best referee performances I've seen in a long time. I thought he was excellent.
Yeah, for me, the consistency, it's like you're going to put a card here and then not put a card here. The fact that Escobar was consistent in his not calling or calling fouls and not giving cards, for me, that was key in all of this, is that his consistency was there the entire time. Yeah, I mean, in the first half, you had Duenas with a couple of fouls on Vela, but they were spaced out. It wasn't rapid fire to where Duenas could have gotten a card. And I think that Vela was fouled, 5 times in the first half on his own. But as you said, it was different guys doing it, except for Duenas doing it twice. But no, Escobar gets high credit for me for being consistent all night.
Duenas had 5 fouls in the game he committed. Blackman and Blessing had 5 and 4. So, I mean, it goes both ways. It was 23 fouls committed by LAFC and 17 committed by Tigres. It was very even. It was 40 fouls. There were no cards. Didn't need any cards. I don't need cards shown just to show cards. Manage the game. That's what they're supposed to be there for, is to help you manage the game. So it's a final. You're not worried about accumulation. You're not worried about anything. I thought he did an excellent job. The referee crew from Guatemala, outstanding across the board. Really, really impressed with them.
Follow-up from Tafka about Vela. He says, does Vela leave at the end of his contract if he's not sold beforehand?
I mean, it's possible. It's hard to say. I don't know what the length of that contract is maybe the bigger question here. He is now 31. He absolutely has value in Mexico. Looks like he's going into the last year of his deal. Not sure if there's an option. This is according to Transfermarkt. They've got him valued at $16.5 million. A Club America, Monterrey, a Tigres, maybe a Chivas. They'd pay that. A Cruz Azul probably would pay that, or get close to it. That's where the tough decisions start to come for LAFC. And look, we talked about it with Atlanta United. You start to go into year 4. You've got guys that you signed day 1 whose contracts are up. And is he going to take a new deal? Do you want to give him a new deal at... he's going to turn 32 at the beginning of the upcoming season. So at the end of that season, going into the next one where you're looking at either triggering an option or signing him to a new deal, he's going to be 33. How much are you going to be willing to invest in him at that point? You're never going to have another opportunity to sell him. This is it. Do you do that, or do you ride it out with him? LAFC doesn't have to sell, and I don't know if he's angling to go. If he's got an offer or an opportunity to go play in Mexico and he wants to do it and it's lucrative for him and it's lucrative for LAFC, I think you should allow it. You should take it and move on. We'll have to see. But that's going to be an interesting conversation because, his name is being bandied about a lot in Mexican media right now, and Club America is one that is all over this because they need a splash. So we'll see. Wouldn't surprise me if there's some smoke to that. Would not surprise me if there's some conversation about Carlos Vela going to Mexico for next season.
You wanted me to write something down on one of my legal pads, so I did.
Oh.
I found I found the original, and so since we're talking CONCACAF Champions League, this is when I'll bring it up.
Okay.
Turner Kirby last night. If you were in charge of CONCACAF, how would you format the CONCACAF Champions League? Would you keep the straight knockout or do the UCL-style group stage where the third place goes to the League's Cup or something different? He's got a follow-up that has to do with Atlanta United.
Group stage. I would follow the calendar that CONMEBOL is doing with Libertadores, which is a calendar year deal rather than the seasonal year that UEFA does. So the way it goes in UEFA, you have your final in May, typically for Champions League, and then they go to the Club World Cup in December. It is what it is. In South America, we've seen it. We saw it with River Plate where they had to go to Madrid and play the second leg of the final. Then they went straight to the Club World Cup. That's what they're going to do here again. They're not going to go to Madrid, but they're going to play the final, go straight to the Club World Cup. I like that a little bit better. It definitely would suit MLS. They would be lobbying for that, I think, rather than the group stage in the fall and in the knockouts in the spring, which is what they've done in the past in CONCACAF. That's really difficult for MLS, more so than any other league because of their calendar, because teams have a lot of changeover. And I think for MLS's structure, it would benefit them to have the group stage early in the season and the knockouts in the second half. Yeah, you're going to have issues, and as people always complain about it, like, well, you're going to have knockouts, going into the end of the season where you're talking about the MLS playoffs and all that. Well, in Europe, you have knockouts in the second half of the season where you're trying to get your way back into the Champions League or whatever for next year. Welcome to the adult world. Welcome to the adult table, and you're going to have to man up and do it. So stop complaining. That's just what it is. It's better for me that way than if you do the group stage in the fall, then have 10 changes going into the spring for knockouts, and then you're doing the knockouts in the way that you do them now, which everybody complains about too. We're not in our regular season, we're not ready yet, et cetera, et cetera. You do it, MLS needs to lobby very hard if it goes to a group stage to do a calendar year like they're doing, but group stage in the fall, knockout, or group stage in the spring, knockouts in the fall. That would be the best way to do it. Model it after the Copa Libertadores calendar.
Now, for me, I like more. I like to see more teams involved, more teams getting a chance, and I just like to see. For me, I'm the guy that watches CONCACAF League because I want to see who's going to be making that next step into CONCACAF Champions League. I'm the guy that's watching FS2 and watching all the teams from Central America battle it out to see who goes to CONCACAF Champions League. So for me, something like that would add that much more viewing for me to do and that much more enthusiasm and excitement just for something that I'm already locked into. All these other teams that would have that chance, it'd give me another reason to watch with a group stage. I like that John made it all about him. Not about the league, not about quality, not about the quality of the competition, not about the people as a whole. It's all about, I want more games to watch. I want more games to watch.
Jeez, good grief. What else is on the table?
Turner says, how far back does a future coach go back when researching the team he'll be taking over? He assumes Heinze went all the way back to 2017 because of the recent history of the club, but how far would he go back for a team like Columbus?
I don't think Heinze went back to 2017. Why would you? How many people are there from 2017? I mean, you want to know just the history, but for your research, for your analysis, you're not going back to 2017. Your analysis, you're looking at the last season, which this one was a little weird, so maybe you're going back into 19 as well for players that were there. It's probably about it. You want to know the history of the club before that, but not in any kind of an analysis sense. You're not doing analysis on other teams in the league 3-4 years back. You're doing it the last year. This is such a weird year where 2020 wasn't normal. You're probably going back to 2019 and really studying that as well, especially for teams that have had consistency. But there's only so much you can do. I mean, you can go back and research teams from 2017, but is that really going to help you for 2021? No, it's not.
Did you see this news from Atlanta United this morning?
Go ahead and tell everybody if you're going to tease it that way, John.
Oh, okay. Atlanta United season ticket members receiving complimentary access to the Red TV International platform. Atlanta United announced that
you going to say what it is?
Well, I didn't know if you were going to just react to the headline or if you wanted me to keep going.
Well, because not everybody knows what the Red TV platform is. There's probably a little bit of explanation needed.
I'll continue.
Please do.
Atlanta United today announced that through its partnership with sister club Aberdeen FC of the Scottish Professional Football League, season ticket members will receive complimentary access to the AFC streaming platform Red TV through the end of 2021.
That's what it is.
Woo! First major commercial deal between the clubs since announcing their partnership last year. Season ticket members now able to access their international platform free of charge, which includes live AFC match day action, as well as a wide range of video on-demand content, full match replays, extended highlights, news, and features from the First Team and Youth Academy are also included.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I've subscribed to Red TV before, and I like the additional content. You know, if you want to follow the club and get to know all of the aspects of it, they do a great job with it. Derek Ray is doing some things with Red TV right now as well, which is very cool. So that's awesome. That's a no-brainer in terms of the partnership. Now, but hold on. I've already seen people complaining, well, why can I watch Aberdeen games when you can't give me streaming of Atlanta United games because of Fox Sports South? There's these things called contracts, people. You can't break contracts. There's no contract with Red TV in the United States in terms of giving you this. There is a contract that the previous owners of Fox Sports South signed about streaming rights, and they own them. So you can't give them away. I understand being frustrated, but the frustration is completely and utterly misplaced. So please don't do that. Yell at the people who own the rights, which is not the club because they were bought. Can't help that the network that they're partnering with has changed hands multiple times.
Yes. Yell at Sinclair.
Yeah, I mean, they're the ones who have the streaming rights.
And the coverage on Red TV begins with the Boxing Day match with St. Johnston, 10 o'clock Eastern time. So that's your first match day action with Aberdeen and St. Johnston on Red TV.
Excelente.
Let's see. What else is on the board this morning? Going back to Nathan Pugh, I saw the goal, and the highlight packages that I saw didn't give me the extended celebration. He says, speaking of slides, rate the victory slide for Fiorentina's first goal yesterday.
It wasn't good if it's the one that I saw just a few minutes ago. I've got Sporty up from Teise on to my right, and it looked like he came up a little bit short on the knee slide.
Yeah, he says 10 out of 10 for the effort, but 1.5 for the execution.
Yeah, I'm not even giving 10 out of 10 for the effort. I mean, the excitement was there. It's 7. The execution, 0.0. I mean,
so was it like hitting the brakes, like you're sliding and then you just hit the brakes the second you hit the grass and topple over?
Pretty much.
One of those?
Yeah. I mean, you're not hitting brakes. You're just not doing it properly. You're going straight into the ground. So no good.
It's got to be like you've got to go perpendicular or parallel to the ground. You can't just go diving in at the angle because then
you have experience with this?
About 40 years ago.
Oh, you did these kinds of celebrations 40 years ago.
Tried to, anyway.
Okay.
But for me, it ended up being more of a baseball slide than a knee slide. It was more of like just sliding for the sake of doing it that way.
That's completely different. That's easy. Like sliding on your knees, I'm not doing it. I never did it. I did the airplane celebration.
Yeah.
That's easy. It's hard to screw that one up.
Yeah, well, consider who you're talking to.
You're putting your arms out to your sides perpendicular and you're running. How would you screw that up?
There's ways. There's ways. If you're me, there's a way.
I mean, you could run into something, but you could do that anyway. I'm just
well, but for me, instead of doing the airplane, it was more like one of these, where you just kind of, it's not really the airplane. You're just kind of waving your arms frantically as you're running away.
As you're running, why would you celebrate that way?
Because that was just the over-exuberance of the moment. It's like the Home Alone moment with Macaulay Culkin down the hall. It's one of those kind of things.
Okay. Sure. I got it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, totally. Mm-hmm.
I'm with it. I'm hip.
It's like me saying that Tigres is the bomb in Liga MX.
No, that's a whole different level, John. That's a whole nother thing.
Carlos Rangel with the question this morning. So did people like VAR or not? And I don't know if this is philosophical or factual based.
That
him
sounds
asking
philosophical.
the question.
I don't know. I think they don't, but they really want VAR to get involved when it would help their team. So do they really hate it, or do they just hate when it rules against them? I think it's a little bit more of the latter.
Yeah.
VAR will be coming into the Argentine domestic competitions early next year, which will be loads of fun. Centralized location is what they're going to do. They're doing a special building at the Argentine FA headquarters. It'll launch in February or March. The plan is for it to be in place for the start of the new season in February, which will be bonkers as usual. They're doing their certifications for VAR referees right now. They're modeling it after what Spain does. Spain has a centralized location at the Federation. CONMEBOL has a centralized location. So Argentina is going to go that way. Their new season is set to start in February because the current Copa Diego Armando Maradona is going to conclude in January. New season set to start in February. It'll be a short season. They'd originally going to do that as a long season. I guess that changed now. It'll be 2 groups of 13 because there's 26 teams in the league. Yes, you have an uneven number of teams. How do you fix that? You have an interzonal Clásico. So you set 2 teams that are in the separate zones to have a big match. Probably that means they'll have River and Boca in separate zones. They'll have Racing and Independiente in separate zones, et cetera, et cetera. Newell's and Rosario Central. So you'll have those games in that. So it's a short season. Top 4 from each qualify for the quarterfinals, and there's a knockout tournament at neutral grounds to decide the champion. That's exciting. Playoffs in Argentina, I'm really excited about. That ends in May, and then the second tournament will start after that with all 26 teams, 1 league, 1 normal table, but they'll play everybody once. So it'll be a random draw to see who hosts the matchup. So 25 games. And that'll be the second half of the calendar year. And they'll probably change it 5 more times before it actually starts.
Yes. Nathan's back in. He says he'd love to see a group stage for CONCACAF Champions League. Not sure how logistically feasible it would be for MLS to help teams succeed, e.g. no cross-country travel prior to CCL matches. Set the teams up with a way to more easily succeed.
You just have to be willing to adjust the schedule. Other leagues do it, where you just have to be willing to say, all right, we have our league schedule, but it is subject to change, and fans are going to have to accept that a little bit, that yes, the weekend match might change because you got drawn to go play in Panama on a Thursday, and you're not going to play on Saturday at home. You're going to have to reschedule that one for a midweek down the road. That's just how it would be. And MLS is going to have to accept moving into that kind of world a little bit, or that Saturday game gets moved to a Sunday at a minimum, like Europa League teams do, or you're able to reschedule it later in the season, whatever. Like, the schedule is going to have to be a little more flexible for the regular season if you go to that, and I think it's worth the trade-off.
And Tafka, as you were going over the Argentina schedule, Tafka says that sounds awfully MLS-y. Argentina?
A little. The short season part is definitely not. The playoff part is, and they're going to do it at neutral sites, which is kind of weird. That's how they do their Copa Argentina, their Open Cup, essentially, where they play it at neutral sites, which is kind of cool. I mean, it's cool for people in the interior in Argentina to get a Boca or a River game and get to see them up close because they have fans all over the country. That wouldn't work here. It's just too big. But having a playoff for that short season, I like. If you're going to do the 25-game season, you don't need a playoff for that. If you're going to do Argentina and their normal stuff, I love playoffs. If they wanted to add it, I'm in. But they don't typically do that. They have in the past at different times. For a short season, especially in that kind of format, yeah, do quarterfinals. That's great.
That catches us up on Twitter this go-around. What's going on the Twitch pitch?
A whole bunch of stuff as usual. 5 Takes said, I don't know if this has been thrown into the conversation yet, but well done to everybody on the scarves for Marcelino Moreno. Very cool. The club put an article out yesterday about it.
Yeah.
Very cool what Marcelino said and how happy he was with it. Because that was the idea. You know, it was just we weren't going to be able to welcome him in a normal way, so wanted to do something special. So he knew, what Atlanta was all about and the story of, his upbringing and Atletico Palmira and naming their school for 4 to 8 year olds after him just grabbed my attention, and I was really happy we could put it together. I'm glad I saved a couple of extra scarves because people actually reached out and wanted to buy those. So we are, I think, officially out now. There's a couple people who are on hold, so maybe we've got 2 more left. One was done this morning, so that's done. A couple more may be on hold, but everything's being finalized and getting it to Atletico Palmira and figuring out how we can transfer the money internationally to a small club that doesn't have normal facilities to do this. It's been a little bit of a challenge, but we're getting through it. So putting all the finishing touches on it, and we'll keep you posted on everything.
Hell of an idea.
It's been crazy. I've been working on my Spanish well enough to send messages and try to make sense of how can I get you money, and then it's like they're not set up like a big club either, so it's like how can they get money, and we're figuring it all out. So we're getting there. They're very happy though. They're very, very excited. So that was cool.
Yeah, it was a great article yesterday. Hell of an idea from Jump to welcome Marcelino Moreno here to town.
Wouldn't have worked if people hadn't jumped on board with it. So it was very, very cool that all the listeners spread the word and everybody who helped. I know you helped and Abby helped. Go and deliver these to save on some of the shipping costs. I mean, that just makes the donation even bigger. So awesome stuff. Christopher Abel about Club World Cup. Didn't Rayados almost pull an upset against the UEFA team last year in the Club World Cup? Yeah, they gave Liverpool a game. What did that end up at? Was it 1-0 or was it 2-1? It was close. Turko Mohamed and Jurgen Klopp were getting into it afterwards.
That I remember.
Yeah, it was really close. Monterrey gave them a tough one, which has happened before. The best final in the Club World Cup days that I can remember was in 2009, where Estudiantes from Argentina, which was kind of a wild year anyway. Like they got there. It was after Simeone had left. He played a big role in them winning a title. He went to Spain. Then Alejandro Sabella took over, legend at Estudiantes, played in Europe as well, went on to coach the Argentine national team, recently passed away. He took over, took them to winning the Libertadores. Then they go to the Club World Cup and took Barcelona to the absolute limit. And that was the Barcelona team. That was the 2008-9 team that won everything. I think the game after Barca won in extra time, that was one of them that left Pep Guardiola in like tears because it was such a good match and just so crazy. I think it was the first time that, maybe the only time, that Lionel Messi's played in an official competition against an Argentine club. So that's a great, great match. Estudiantes nearly won that. There's been some good games in it. Saprissa made a run in 2005 after they won the CONCACAF Champions League, and they got to the semifinal, which was big for them at that time, and I think they finished third in the competition, which is awesome. So it's a fun tournament. I think the games are getting a little bit closer, but there's still a just massive gap between the UEFA teams and everybody. The gap has gotten bigger. Like the Intercontinental Cup, you go back 20 years ago, and the South American teams were winning it as much as the European teams. Now it's the European teams. Like, it's not even that close in terms of overall quality. The South American teams are getting upset at times in getting to the final because they're selling their players so young and they can't hold on to guys. So it's broadened out that way, but your Liverpools, your Bayerns, I mean, it's night and day comparing them to some of these other teams.
Yep, Liverpool won in the semi against Monterrey 2-1. Firmino scored in at 90+1.
That's right.
Then Monterrey would go and win the match for third in penalties over Al Hilal.
Very nice. The question from Chris was a hypothetical. If LAFC had won against Tigres, would they have been allowed to start training earlier to be prepared for the Club World Cup? Yeah, they absolutely would have. I don't know what the details would have been, but there's no way anybody would have stood in their way on that one. Modaflow says that Ecuadorian soccer Twitter was ripping Bob Bradley for taking off Cifuentes and leaving on Mark-Anthony Kaye. Mark-Anthony Kaye had a great assist, and he had a rough match other than that. He really struggled at times. Cifuentes was good, not great. Janela came in and was poor. I mean, Janela was really poor on the final goal. So I don't know what difference it would have made, to be honest. If you had put Janela in for Kaye, I don't think it gets any better. You could have left Cifuentes on. But he didn't show quite enough. I like him. I think he's got potential, but didn't show quite enough in this game. And Janela, that was rough.
Yep.
Jason Nick says, as much as I love Atlanta, LAFC is definitely a better team at the moment. Hate to say it, but nobody really argued that at the moment this year. But as a general club through 3 years, where there are people who are MLS employees who are possibly weeping into their Cheerios this morning about LAFC coming so close. Atlanta accomplished a whole lot in their first 3 years, too. And it was a complete and utter joke that people wanted to say the third year was a failure.
Yep.
When they were the third best team in the league. They were in the Eastern Conference Final. They were a golazo away from going to MLS Cup and potentially doing a treble in year 3. Yes, they did a double. Yes, they won a Super Cup. And they won the Open Cup. And they've got 3 trophies. And LAFC in 3 years has 1. So, just saying.
Yeah.
Atlanta's after year 4. LAFC's going into year 4. I want to see what LAFC does going into year 4. I think they're going to have some interesting questions. All right, before we get Mike Conti on the line, you have to thank a good friend of the show, Steve Apolinsky.
I can do that. Apolinsky & Associates, LLC, proud supporters of everything soccer down here in the SDH network for wrongful death and serious injury matters. There's only one communication that you need to make, and it is with said law firm, Apolinsky & Associates, LLC. A couple different ways that you can do it. You can get a free consultation by giving them a call at 404-377-9191, or you can shoot Steve an email directly, steve@aa-legal.com. You can go to the website if you want to see what else is going on at Apolinsky & Associates, LLC. Large device or small, hit the return key, the enter key, the arrow key, whatever advances it to that home page, and a pop-up window pops up, because that's what pop-up windows do. They pop up, otherwise they'd call them something else. You can have a conversation with whoever is at the other end of that pop-up window, 24/7, 365 and a quarter. Thank you, Chris Hutchison, for that as always. Over 30 years of experience, over $40 million in judgments for clients in Georgia and Alabama for wrongful death and serious injury matters. Recognized as Legal Elite by Georgia Trend Magazine for being one of the top 100 firms in this here state of Georgia for wrongful death and serious injury matters. There's only one place you need to go. It's Apolinsky & Associates, LLC. The website is aa-legal.com.
Were you trying to set a land speed record?
No.
You went pretty fast.
I was not trying to set a land speed record.
You went pretty fast. It was good, but you went pretty fast.
What would the East German judge give me?
They're still working on it. We'll get those scores in just a minute. Wow, actually, they're coming in really good. You should be quite proud of yourself. It was fast, but it worked.
Okay.
But, yeah, you should be quite proud of yourself. We'll get those scores in just a second.
Bam.
All right, Mateo's going to get Mike Conti on the line. We'll see if Mike's Skype, his Mateo, wants to work properly here.
But we have to figure out who his Skype virtual producer is to sort all this stuff out.
Sure, we'll figure that out. So scores coming in from the judges. Wow, Steve's granddaughter is the East German judge today. 2. That's harsh. An 8.5, a 7, a 9, a 7, an 8.5, an 8, a 4,
So who gave you the
6.
4?
You don't get to know who the judges are. We're not going to give you the judges' names because then you might try to retaliate against the judges. There, Mateo gets it done, and Mike Conti joins us. What's up, Mike?
What's going on, guys? How are you?
I'm a little tired after last night watching LAFC take it to the limit against Tigres, but couldn't quite get it done. Close.
Yeah. MLS keeps getting closer. I think the stat was MLS is 19, 15, and 1 or something in their last 35 matches against Liga MX.
It's in that ballpark, yeah. It's very even.
Yeah, you're getting closer. Fair play to Tigres. I don't really have anything profound to say about it. Just Tigres outplayed them in the final 20 minutes, and they're the winners.
Yeah, it was a good match. Like, it's not like LAFC has a ton to feel bad about. I thought they ran out of gas. Missing Atuesta hurt them because it took away from their depth a little bit. Some players played well. Some guys had some disappointing performances. Tigres had those as well. Tigres was just a little bit better in the big moments. And if there's a gap that still remains between the two leagues, it's that for me. It's dealing with pressure and being, up for those big moments and performing in those big moments. The Mexican teams are better at that right now than the U.S. teams, than the MLS teams.
Yeah, I agree. I really give hats off to CONCACAF. I think we all kind of snickered when we found out, oh, well, great, we're going to finish this thing off after all and send everyone down to Orlando to do so. In reality, we had some really compelling soccer. We had some really dramatic moments. It was a well-played tournament. I think the players deserve a lot of credit for being pros about it, too. But, I'll admit I got that one wrong. I was kind of hoping that this CONCACAF Champions League could just kind of fade off into the sunset and we could look ahead to 2021 and forget about all this. But I'm really glad they played. It was very entertaining soccer, and TV viewers got their money's worth. Fans got their money's worth, and I'm glad they played it.
Well, and Mike, to the same point, it just reinforces what every league that we have seen in 2020. MLS made the effort to have MLS's back and finish a schedule. The NWSL was the first one in the blocks to sit there and it's like, okay, we want to have a schedule. We want to have our league play this year. CONCACAF did the same thing. And so I think it speaks well to the sport where they wanted to make these efforts to have these competitions, to have these leagues go, and you end up with the quality that you're getting.
Yeah, it does. It absolutely does. And CONCACAF had a financial incentive to get this thing done as well. I'm sure they did. It's kind of a poorly kept secret that, especially among MLS players, the CONCACAF Champions League is not necessarily their favorite thing to experience, their favorite thing to play in. Especially in this bizarre year where you've been off for a couple weeks and instead of being able to go home and rest, you've got to come back in and have another mini camp. And then go and play. So I don't necessarily think, John, it's directly comparable to MLS and WSL. That's kind of that goes with the territory of being an MLS or an NWSL player.
Yeah.
This is different. Look, I'll come flat out. I've had players tell me they don't enjoy playing in this tournament. They feel it's onerous. They feel it's an obligation. They feel the travel is too much. Flat out. I think that's a poorly kept secret that a lot of players don't enjoy playing in this tournament. But you know what? They went, and they did it. And, once that whistle blew, I think all those thoughts went away, and we had a week's worth of very compelling soccer. So I think it's really more of a tribute to the players than to CONCACAF itself. But I give CONCACAF credit for trying to see it out because that's their job and that's what they have to do.
Yeah, I think CONCACAF did a great job here. I think they deserve a ton of credit to get this done because, they've got to look out for not just the U.S. and Mexico. And that's what I think makes CONCACAF so difficult at times is they've got to look out for Curacao. They've got to look out for the Dominican Republic. They've got to look out for some of the small island nations in the Caribbean. They've got a lot of different challenges. And, I understand. I think maybe the blowback from the players was stronger during the group stage days of the CONCACAF Champions League, where the way they did it then, where you had a lot of travel late in the season and you were playing teams that weren't at the same level. But the mentality's got to change. This should be a bigger deal for MLS and for the clubs and for the players. And if it's not, then there need to be some serious conversations about why it's not and what can be done to change it, because that's just part of playing at big clubs. This should be a goal.
And anywhere in the world.
Yeah. I mean, Libertadores is celebrated, and the magic of a Champions League night in Europe. And, I mean, even, in Africa and Asia, the Champions Leagues are big deals. And travel's a challenge, and having to compete on multiple fronts. MLS can do better with, increasing roster sizes to make it easier for teams, increasing cap to increase the depth. All those things are legit. More prize money, all on board with all this. But, yeah, that mentality's got to change. It's holding the league back.
Yeah, and there's only going to be more of this. I mean, as MLS and Liga MX build whatever bonds that apparently are being discussed, the prospect of long travel and longer seasons, it's unavoidable. It's what the fans want, I guess. But I think more so that the financial incentive for the players is, look. If you look at the television ratings for Liga MX in this country, now MLS can have a piece of a television revenue pie, which the players will benefit from. That's the way they're going to have to look at it. It's a little bit different with CONCACAF, where I don't think the players really realize the TV revenue, whatever TV revenue exists.
Yeah, it's just prize money.
Same with U.S. Open Cup, really.
Yep.
You're talking about prize money, but not necessarily TV revenue. So what's going to change this is, if Leagues Cup becomes a big TV cake that everyone can share.
That's what's being talked about in Mexico, by the way. It is, and we haven't mentioned it yet, and we've actually got a couple bits of air horn-worthy things that we have to jump into. But really quick on that Leagues Cup thing. Because there's talk that the money that could come from that is even more than teams would get from CONCACAF Champions League, which is crazy, but it's all down to that TV side. Mexico might have all of their teams playing in some form of international competition starting in 2022 if everything falls in like they are trying to make happen. The champions from their 2 seasons and the 2 runners-up go to CONCACAF Champions League. The champions have to go to CONCACAF. They can't send them to anything else. The place that they maybe like to send them is the Copa Libertadores, because it looks like Mexico, and I don't know where MLS stands in this, could be back in the Libertadores and Sudamericana as early as 2022. So what they would do is the 2 champions, 2 runners-up go to CONCACAF. So that's 4. The next 3 over the calendar year, so they'll combine the table for the 2. The next 3 best teams over the calendar year go to the Libertadores. The following 3 go to the Sudamericana. So that's 10 teams. The last 8 teams would go into the Leagues Cup. Yeah. And reportedly a $2 million prize on the table for the Leagues Cup. $500,000 for the teams that go to the semis.
Yeah. So I mean, that's where it's at, and the prize money is a product of the TV money.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's ultimately what it's going to come down to. I think players will find themselves much more enthusiastic about CONCACAF Champions League and all these international competitions
with the big artificial check.
If they realize more of a direct financial gain from doing it.
Straight cash, homie. Okay, first up, I had one on deck, and it's going to get pushed to the side because Jacob Myers of the Columbus Dispatch is reporting that the Columbus Crew have signed Bradley Wright Phillips.
Wow, great signing for them. Great signing for them. To be depth behind Jazzy's artist. Man, oh man, really, really good signing. A low-risk, high-reward type of signing. honestly, it's someone who I think could have probably helped quite a few teams in this league. Columbus would not have been on my list, but as a depth piece behind Jazzy Zardes, if Zardes gets called into some longer term international duty than windows may allow, or if quarantines and things like that come into play on either side of an international window, I think Bradley Wright Phillips is a really, really good guy for them to have backing him up.
That's a great shout because you've got Gold Cup, you've got the Nations League semifinals and hopefully final. You've got qualifiers starting in the fall, and you've got those 3-game windows for qualifiers where it's the same window, but you're going to play 3 games instead of 2. He might not be able to start when you come back, and you can turn to Bradley Wright Phillips. That's a really good get. Austin has their goalkeeper, and it's not the direction we thought they might go with Brian Rowe, who's a free agent. It's another one who really performed well late in the season, Andrew Tarbell from Columbus.
Nice. Andrew Tarbell, who I thought probably should have started the MLS Cup final because he got them there.
Yeah.
Because Room was out. Andrew Tarbell is a really, really solid pickup for them. I think in the same way that Joe Willis was a solid pickup for Nashville. Experienced guy, been around for a while.
Good comparison.
But has proven it lately that he's still got it. I love that. The Joe Corona thing was really weird.
We'll get into that in a minute.
I probably need to defer to you guys for what exactly happened there, but love Andrew Tarbell going to Austin. Look, won the Eastern Conference Final and kept goal for them very, very capably every step of the way in the playoffs until Room was able to come back for the final.
Yeah, that's a big one. New England has announced a signing Wilfred Kaptoum. He is a Cameroonian, 24 years old. 6 pro seasons in Spain with Barcelona, Real Betis. Not too shabby. He's been on loan in the 2nd division with Almeria here lately. 100 pro appearances across all competitions with Barcelona, Betis, Almeria, Barca B, and Real Betis B. 3 appearances with Barcelona's first team, played in the Champions League in 2015-16, developed at La Masia, their academy. 2 appearances for Barcelona before he moved on to Betis. He started in their youth ranks at 12 years old.
That's a great pedigree.
Yeah.
And I believe New England becomes the first team in the league with 2 players named Wilfred.
Oh, no, the Zahibo's gone.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
Well, 2 players all time named Wilfred.
Yep. Kaptoum was also part of the African Cup of Nations squad for Cameroon in 2019. So that's a good get. The Barcelona developed guys who have come into the league have done well. Victor Vasquez, Ilie, they've done well for the most part because it's
was
a
Carlos
it's a good
Gil Barca, or was he trying to remember?
Did Carlos think he was a Barca developed guy, but I might be wrong. Don't quote me on that one. Nashville signing a designated player. It hasn't been announced yet, but the reporting out of Nashville and out of Uruguay is that they are set to sign Rodrigo Pinheiro. Was at Peñarol, moved over to Danubio, a right winger, so he would be on the opposite wing from Randall Leal, flanking Hani Mukhtar. That's not bad. He's 21, had a good year with Danubio, leading them in goals and assists. He would... looks like they could buy either Leal or Pinheiro down so they wouldn't count as a designated player. But he's coming out of the same club that produced Rossi, produced Brian Rodriguez. Peñarol has produced some talent here lately. He moved on elsewhere before coming to MLS, but he's a Peñarol product. So Nashville trying to get better
pedigree.
too. Yeah.
Nashville, I continue to tip my cap at how they're building their team and building for the long haul. That is a really, really good signing for them. They've nailed it again.
And Miami's getting in the mix too. Miami's not done. They watched Mikey Ambrose leave. He's back here. We'll talk about Mikey in a second.
Yeah.
They went out and got Patrick Segrist from the New York Red Bulls in exchange for a 3rd-round pick in the Super Draft.
Good value.
It
Third round pick?
Well, I'm trying to remember where they picked Segrist because he was. Oh, so yeah, okay. See, this is not good when you look at this. So he was a pick last year in the draft by the Red Bulls. He was the number 10 pick. And in the next year, he's being traded for a third-round pick.
Well, that's the Red Bulls' problem.
That is a Red Bulls problem. It could be a good thing for Miami. Could mean the Red Bulls might have picked him a little high, which is where I'm at with it.
Yeah, it could. But look, the Super Draft is tricky. I mean,
it is.
If you look
really
back at 2 years ago, I mean, Atlanta United took Anderson Aseyadu in the first round, obviously with the last pick in the first round, but they took him in the first round. Didn't keep him. Amir Bashti, who they took in the second round, is still with him.
Yep. No, Bashti's not coming back. He's not with the Twos next. His contract was not picked up.
Okay, but he stuck around longer.
He did. Yeah, it's a little bit of a crapshoot. One other thing to keep in mind before we talk about Mikey Ambrose, the allocation order, where guys who leave the league for a certain level of transfer fee or U.S. national team pool players, when they come back to the league or they come to the league for the first time, they have to go through that allocation order. We've seen teams trade that spot around a couple times. Jeff Cameron, Kamar Lawrence, and Fabian Castillo were all on that list. They are no longer on that list, according to Ivis Galarcep. So if they wanted to come to MLS, they can pick wherever they would want to go. That's down to changes in the CBA, and I guess defining who falls into this list. Mauro Diaz, who was formerly with Dallas, he would not be on the list either. Castillo's maybe the one that would be the most interesting because he's at Tijuana. He's been linked with moves back to MLS after a good run with Dallas, maybe to a club like an Orlando where he played for Oscar Pereja in Dallas. I don't know where that relationship is. Kamar Lawrence is another one who was really good here and went to Belgium at Anderlecht. And would he come back being a Jamaican international? It wouldn't shock me.
Kamar Lawrence is a nice player.
Yeah. 29 years old? 28 years old. So, I mean, not even – he's still got a lot of soccer to play.
Yeah, younger than I thought. No, he's a nice player. That's interesting. I mean, he could help a lot of clubs out. The one thing that I think we're starting to hear anecdotally across the league is that I think there are a lot of clubs who are really, really concerned about getting cap compliant for the coming year because, as I understand it, the salary cap is not going up, but annual raises are still due. So
yeah, because those would have already been in contracts.
Exactly.
Eek.
So that could potentially really, really affect. And this is really every club in the league. It's not just a few; it's everyone. That could really, really affect not only the types of players that you're looking to go out and get, but what you're paying them. That's where, again, a Kamar Lawrence, if you can get Kamar Lawrence at a little bit of a discount, it might be a method for some teams that are looking to be cap compliant to do so in a more responsible manner, I guess.
Well, and I think at the same time that it challenges the front offices about who you're going to want to bring in with your supplementals, who you have with your homegrowns as a part of all this discussion. I think that this is going to be one of those. This is going to be one of those PhD exams for your front offices this year specifically.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But that's the thing, though. I mean, when you get into these contracts that have annual raises, I mean, almost all of them were probably agreed to before the pandemic hit. Where I don't know if there could have been a realistic expectation when those contracts were agreed to that, you'd have a year where the salary cap wouldn't go up. So it's a PhD exam, like you said, John, but it's not an open book test either.
It's going to be a weird year. I think now we're starting to get into that realm where, we've wondered where you're going to see the effects financially of the pandemic. And if it affects the cap, teams are going to have to make tough decisions because you've committed to guys for long-term deals. It's written into contracts. They're going to get a raise. Okay, these are guys you probably want to keep, but that might limit your ability. You're going to have to get more creative with some of your depth. And like we've talked about with Andrew Gutman and now with Mikey Ambrose, these are two players who were on the supplemental roster at their previous clubs that don't take up a senior roster spot, don't take up a spot on the salary cap. Hitting on those kinds of moves and getting contributors on that supplemental, in those supplemental spots, really vital now.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I mean, you aren't necessarily looking for everyday starters on your supplemental list, but that's where a guy like Mikey Ambrose, I think that's a really good move. You know exactly what he's capable of. He has performed for you capably in big spots before. I think a lot of people forget, he started in that conference semifinal against Philadelphia 2 years ago where Atlanta United got a clean sheet, played really well. Atlanta United needed that cover at left back because George Bello got hurt in Costa Rica. So Mikey Ambrose was part of that group that gave them that cover. Here again, and it's like we talked about with Zardes. I think you've got to look at your players who are going to be called up into national teams, whether they be senior national teams, youth national teams. Even if everything fits within an international window, I still think you're going to have quarantine on both sides of that. So you're going to have cover for people who are possibly going to be in and out. That's Bello. That might be Miles Robinson. I'm not exactly sure. That might be Brad Guzan. I'm not exactly sure. Probably Ezequiel Barco. There might be a couple other players I'm not thinking of that I'm leaving out. But that's where, I think bringing in Mikey Ambrose is really, really smart. Doesn't mean Bello's on the move. Doesn't mean, the rumors about Mönchengladbach are true or anything like that. That doesn't mean it at all. I think it's just you need to have depth, you need to have cover, and you need to get it at a low price. Mikey Ambrose not only comes in at a low price, but you know exactly what you're getting. He's reliable. He's done it for you before. I thought that was a really, really smart move by Carlos. And, if Heinze had any role in it, which maybe he did, whoever made the decision, tip of the cap to them. It was a really, really smart move. Very savvy, I thought.
Did you see the thing with Red TV this morning with Atlanta United, Mike?
I did. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I wish I had season tickets.
Yeah, we might have to make some calls, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, Jason and I, we don't need season tickets because we go to all the games anyway. I thought that was really cool. I really like the ways that, in somewhat unconventional manners, Atlanta United is trying to strengthen that bond with Aberdeen, not only at a club level, but I think at a fan level too. And this is something that really does so at a fan level. So I'm really anxious to dig into that content if I can get the access. I guess I'm going to have to call someone for
little
that.
help.
Oh yeah, if you make a call, yes, remember me too. I'd like.
Oh no,
I'd
of
like
course.
a pass.
Of
Yeah,
course.
sure.
Well, you're friends with Derek Ray. You could probably just call him. I mean, he does half the stuff on that channel.
He does some stuff there, so yeah, maybe I can get the friends and family side there. We should have the friends.
I
and
thought
family
that was
side,
really
yeah.
cool, though. I think we're all really kind of building up to the point where post-pandemic, maybe you get a friendly between Atlanta United and Aberdeen. Maybe you're doing some kind of fun little exchange program where, we trade Jason for their color guy for a match.
Wait, you're trading me? What?
Well, they sure as hell aren't going to trade me. Do you really think they're going to want to send me over there to call a game in Scotland?
You would blow
That'd be
people's
epic.
minds in Scotland.
That'd
It'd be
be
amazing.
epic.
Yeah,
That'd
they
be
would be like,
absolutely
who
epic.
the heck is this guy, and why does he think he's calling a hockey?
No,
It would
they
not
wouldn't even
go
know
well.
what the hockey
So,
thing was. It'd be great.
I think Atlanta United would be embarrassed if I
No.
represented them on that level. I think Jason or Kevin or Dan would be a much, much smarter play. But I'm joking. But well, I'm not joking about Jason being better than me. I'm just joking. I'm being self-deprecating, I guess. No, I think those are the types of things that post-pandemic, when it becomes easier to travel, and we don't have to worry about the things that we're worried about right now, you're going to see stronger bonds, stronger ties, more tangible ties between Atlanta United and Aberdeen. It's going to be really, really fun to see. I think it's going to be very unique to MLS as well. I know a lot of other clubs in this league have those kinds of partnerships, but I think it's going to be at a much stronger level with Atlanta United and Aberdeen. I can't think of any other club that has a partnership with someone in Europe or some other part of the world in MLS that's doing this type of content share.
I've never heard of it.
It's not technically a content share, but giving fans access to their content.
I've never heard of anything
SDH
like that.
SDH from Aberdeen live.
Why not? Yeah, no, absolutely.
Well, I think Clayton Poss has got the solution. So what we can send to Aberdeen for pre-match hosting roles, Dukes and Bell.
Oh, God. I don't know if we get Mike back on the plane.
Also,
how many distilleries can you go to in a week?
That's true. That could be dangerous.
You'd have to make it very clear to Mike, we will leave you if you do not get on the plane.
Speaking of leaving somebody and not getting back on the plane, I got a story for you.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about Barcelona having all kinds of problems, right? So they can't even dodge this on the basketball side right now. Great basketball club at Barcelona. Barca, Real Madrid, big rivalry in Spanish basketball. Major story today in Spain. The basketball team left their own player, Thomas Hertel, in Istanbul, refusing him access to the team flight after finding out that he was negotiating with Real Madrid.
Oh.
They left him in Turkey.
You know what?
Oh, no.
I'm good with it.
I'm
fine with that.
Dude, if you're negotiating with the mortal enemy, we're going to leave you.
Yeah, I mean, what happens if you're a Falcons player? And, it's really not even comparable in this country because you have free agency periods and you don't really negotiate. But I'll give you an example. What if we found out that a Falcons coach during the season was negotiating with the owner of the New Orleans Saints?
Bye.
And Arthur Blank got wind of it. Oh. You better believe you're flying commercial back to it.
Bye.
You're not getting on my plane.
Nope.
No way. So I'm fine with that.
You're not getting back in my building at that point.
Listen, I mean, we've had road trips. I've traveled with the Hawks a lot. I'm not traveling with them this year, and nor is Steve or Bob or Dominique. We aren't allowed. But, there have been instances where they don't really call roll when you get on the bus. Either you're on the bus or you're not when it leaves. There was an infamous one up in Detroit a couple years ago where Jeff Teague wasn't on either bus, and they left. And, suddenly one of the buses has to turn around and get Jeff Teague because he's standing in the tunnel waiting for the bus. So it's not like, a junior high field trip where you have a teacher or a chaperone that's calling roll and you don't leave until everyone's on the bus.
Clipboard and you're crossing names off.
Doesn't quite work that way in the NBA. So, but no, I am in full support with Barca for doing that because it's not bad enough that you're under contract and you're negotiating while you're under contract, but doing it with a rival, no way, no, not cool in my opinion.
It's pretty wild. Barcelona just keeps on giving us great content.
They really do. But in this case, I praise them. They've had a lot of. They've had a lot of financial things go wrong. Not all of it's their fault. They've had a lot of things go wrong that would be within their control. In this case, I fully support them. Time for some tough love.
What is the Christmas meal plan for you and the Casa de Conti?
Oh yeah, how is this coming?
Glad you asked. If I've sounded a little out of breath or distracted during our segment, I have been making the brine for the pheasant, and we had a little boil-over situation while I was on the air with you guys, so I think I have it clean, but it's one of those situations where you're like, oh my God, if my wife sees this before I get this all clean, this is not going to be good. I think I have it mostly clean, but if I sounded out of breath or distracted with you guys, that's why, and I apologize.
No, I heard a little running water, and I thought that
was it. Yeah, that's it. Well, and now that I'm looking at the stovetop again, I think I missed a spot, so get ready for some more running water here. But no, I'm doing a pheasant. I think that's kind of a fun little traditional, I guess, in a Dickens type of way, holiday meal. Leanne's got the sides. I think we're doing like the traditional whipped potatoes and maybe green beans or something like that. And then for dessert, you guys know what English trifle is, right?
No.
Oh.
No? Okay.
I do not.
English trifle is basically, and someone on the Twitch pitch might know this. If Jess is listening, she could probably explain it much better than I. It's basically a dessert. Think of tiramisu, where you take ladyfingers and custard and espresso and
John
cocoa
turns
and
into a
things like
10-year-old.
that. Okay,
Yes.
But instead of the ladyfingers and espresso, substitute pound cake and custard and raspberries and slivered almonds and things like that. So it's more of a fruity side of tiramisu. Well, Leanne found this recipe for kind of like a Mediterranean Tuscan trifle, where we're going to soak the cake in limoncello. We're going to use Lazzaronis, those little amaretto cookies, in there as well. Mm-hmm. And then I think we're putting candied orange peels on top. So I'm probably more excited for the dessert than for the actual pheasant.
Really good.
Man.
Yeah. So, we'll probably have leftovers. I can't promise that I won't have seconds, but,
Man with priorities.
If we end up having leftovers, we'll see what we can do with those next week. But yeah, that's the plan. So work is underway. The brine is now cooling. I think I have everything cleaned up. I really hope I do. And, we're gonna try that on Friday. I'll take lots of pictures, as you know. John, are you gonna salt your food on Friday for the holiday, or you gonna stay true to your principles?
I'm gonna stay true to my principles, but I don't know what the boss is gonna do when it comes to the actual salt versus food.
Hey, while I have you, how does the boss feel about Brian Harsin?
Intrigued.
Yeah.
They're still trying to gather the book on Harsin more than anything else, but there was thought of a revolt once the Hugh Freeze name popped up.
Yeah,
that was not going over well.
When you're getting turned down by the Alabama Birmingham coach, that's probably not a great sign.
Yeah, well, and Bill Clark, he's built at UAB with the new stadium coming online. There was no reason for him to leave other than to play Alabama, and that was about it.
I'm going to need a good scouting report, because unless this pandemic goes into the fall, Penn State and Auburn are supposed to play next year.
Yeah, and the plan is to go. So
yes.
Your tour guidedness is going to be required.
Hopefully, Atlanta United will be in Philly or New York that week, and we'll be able to double dip. But yeah, no, I was intrigued. The first people I thought of last night were you and her when I saw that report, because that has been a little bit of a cluster up there, or out there.
Yeah. There have not been happy people on the planes, especially with some of the names that have been floated. But they're trying to gather as much intel on the guy as possible. Ties possibly back to his time at Arkansas State, and so
I think he's a good coach.
Domer's not happy.
I think they could have done way worse.
Yeah, Domer's not happy. Domer says, "I'd like to see him prove me wrong, but I'm not feeling great about the good old boy network that is just destroying the Auburn program."
That's the other question.
That's been in place for, since Pat Dye got fired. That's really, the guy in the yellow hat has
Jimmy Rain
has a pretty big say in who is the head football coach there. That's what I was saying when they fired Malzahn. Like, just be really careful what you wish for here. In the same way that you fired Tuberville, be very careful what you wish for. And then you bring in Chiswick, and he gets Cam Newton. But I don't necessarily think Chiswick proved anything as a coach. And then, you get Malzahn, and now you get rid of him. He's a coach who's actually had success against Saban and Alabama. So just be really careful what you wish for. But
that's because, you need somebody who's a half bubble off plum to go up against Nick Saban, because every single time you have someone who's a Saban disciple going up against Nick Saban, they're going to lose, because they think things through in his manner. They don't think outside the box like Malzahn does.
Now, hold on a second, true. John. You said he's a what off a what?
A half bubble off plum. You've never heard that before?
I've never heard
half bubble off plum?
Yeah.
Okay. I've never
heard that before.
Okay, so
I needed clarification on this.
All right, so here's your clarification. When you're building something, and you have that level, you have the long level, and it has the water bubble in it.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't created something that is truly flat, it's off plumb. And so
I get it. I understood the context generally, but I've never heard that expression
you've
in
never
my life.
heard anybody say that someone's a half bubble off plumb.
Never heard it.
No.
That means that they're not on the level. They're off center.
I think Hutcho is with you on the Twitch pitch. I've never heard it. Rope says it's a Carpenter saying. So, Mike, we might be the ones who are out of form here.
Well, John explained it really well.
Yeah, it
I
makes
thought he
total
was
sense.
Talking about rotten fruit, so that actually is a much better explanation.
Yeah, no, it is a Carpenter measuring idea that if things aren't on the level or if they're off center, it's a half bubble off plumb.
One correction:
Makes
plumb
sense.
is vertical according to Mazzano. Level is horizontal.
Okay, so
Then you aren't standing straight. I get it.
Yeah. I get it. I understood the context. I just never heard the expression.
Wow. Okay. Because I've just heard it as something. I just thought it was a Southern expression more than anything else.
Yeah, never heard it. Never heard that one. Crazy. A lot of people have, though. Again, Mike and I are the ones in the minority on this one.
Well, that's not the first time.
It's not. It's definitely not. We'll have a lot to talk about on stoppage time today. Lots probably still reaction coming from Gabriel Heinze's press conference.
Yes.
Mikey Ambrose back. Maybe we'll see some more MLS news before the day is out. But 2 o'clock, right?
Yeah, looking forward to it on the 92.9 The Game Facebook page. And I think this is the last time I'm on with you guys before Christmas. So I hope everyone has a great Christmas Eve tomorrow, Christmas Day on Friday, and we will talk again next week.
Is Leanne getting a pony? What are you getting her for Christmas? Is she getting a pony?
I'm not falling for that one. If I say that on this show, then word's going to get back to her. Plus, she's upstairs and she might be able to hear me right now. So no way am I going to reveal that on the air.
Yeah, nice try, John, but no.
Yeah.
Strikeout. Thanks, Mike. Talk to you in a little bit.
Okay, guys. Take care. Bye.
All right. We're learning new expressions from carpenters from John today. We're learning about trifles. Good times. It's a very informative show.
What Mike is planning for that dessert, that trifle, that sounds amazing.
That does sound pretty good. Kevin from Charlotte totally understood what you were saying on your terminology. He's chiming in on the Twitters. Lots of people. So good stuff. I had never heard that. Never heard it. No, never heard it. Never heard it.
A couple of things that are on the Twitters this morning.
What we got?
Brought in by folks.
Mm-hmm.
Here's your headline.
Okay.
Turkish police seizes drug trafficker using Maradona portraits to smuggle cocaine.
Well, I guess it's an appropriate portrait to use. Also, it might be a little bit of a, hey, come look at me, but what?
Turkish police seized 2.5 kilos of cocaine at Istanbul airport nested in portraits of Argentine football legend Diego Armando Maradona.
I mean, did they think it was so obvious that they wouldn't think that was it?
The dubious conduct of a 72-year-old German national of Croat origin who showed up at the air terminal from Colombia caught the attention of Turkey's Directorate of Customs. As a precaution, the officers ran an X-ray scan of his luggage. A further probe with sniffer dogs raised suspicion of an unusual density inside the paintings. When officers removed the backs of the paintings, they found cocaine hidden in tiny plates inside.
That's dubious.
Arrested at the airport after busting plates of cocaine with a street value of 2 million Turkish liras or $250,000.
That's a lot. I mean, if you're going to put it in a painting, it is kind of appropriate. Kind of dubious.
So Marshall Voigt sent us that one this morning. A lot of compliments to Mateo, by the way.
Mateo's been doing good work. Mateo's going to get a holiday bonus.
Okay. Chris Hutchison's referring to Mateo as a virtuoso.
Very nice. I like that.
And Michael Bucklew says that he's our very own Matty Ice.
Is that good or bad?
I don't know. Michael?
Depends on who you talk to.
Know.
Some people say that's bad.
Yeah. Ricky Ricardo sent a link to an article out of constructiondive.com where Major League Soccer is committed to building more soccer-only stadia. Ricky says, I don't know. I know multi-purpose ain't for everyone, but I don't know. This feels like small thinking.
Yeah, if you're building like 20,000 seaters, it is. If you're building 30,000 plus, I'm fine with it. But I think the biggest thing that MLS teams need to do is, yes, your random league game against the Colorado Rapids or Vancouver Whitecaps might not need 70,000 seats. But you will have games that you would like to have 70,000 seats. So if you need to play in a bigger venue and rent it for the day where you can make money on your rental fees, do it. Do what San Jose's done with the Cali Classico. They play it at Stanford. They can draw more than they can in their regular building. Cool. If you have other games that turn into a rivalry like that, move it there too. Just make sure you can make money. You know, it needs to be a money-making possibility. But, yeah, do some of those games occasionally. If that means you build a 30,000-seater and you use the NFL stadium down the road a few times a year, I'm fine with that. That can give you the best of both worlds. But you can't be building these 18 to 20,000 seaters anymore. You got to be bigger than that.
And also on the board, Tafka's back in. He says, huge round of applause to MLS and at the champions on making the best of a bad situation this year, but still get through it with a proper conclusion!
Mm-hmm.
Exclamation point.
Yeah, it's huge. Going to playing in big venues, Turner says play Atlanta at Orlando at the Citrus Bowl. Be awesome. Mm-hmm. Philadelphia, and this had been rumored at least a year or so ago. They need to play a game or two downtown. Like, do some of those. Nashville needs to play a game or two at Nissan once they move into their own venue. Those things are cool. Do those for special occasions. But if you're going to build a 30,000-seater, build a 30 at least. Don't build a 20. 20 is too small. It's not enough anymore.
No doubt. And Nathan Pugh with some guidance for Arsenal as a Liverpool fan.
Oh, boy.
He has guidance for Arsenal this morning.
Okay.
What can potentially fix Arsenal? And it's a piece of video that starts with a close-up of Mikel Arteta as a player, then pulls out to a two-shot. And on the right-hand side of the screen is Mesut Ozil.
I don't know if he fixes Arsenal. I don't know what's going on. Like, the whole Mesut Ozil, like, I don't know, exile? Like, what in the world is happening here? Are we going to get a story on this one at some point? Is he going to write a book and then do all the media rounds like Nicholas Bentner has?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know what in the world is going on with this. It is incredibly baffling to me, and I don't get it. Maybe one day we will hear the story because I don't understand it.
No.
Domer wants 40,000 as the minimum standard for MLS stadiums going forward. I'll meet you in the middle, 35. 30 is okay for some markets. I don't have a problem with 30, but the 20's got to go. 40 might be a little much, and I don't know like scale. I don't know where the sweet spot is in terms of cost. Like, is 40 still going to be super expensive where 30 or 28 might be more reasonable? I don't know. So, I mean, you need to have some cost studies in this as well. Christopher Abel wants to make the minimum 50. Yeah, not quite yet there, but you need to have a stadium of that size available for a couple times a year. I think that should be the question. If you're able to do let's say you can build a 25,000 seater, okay, but you can rent a 50,000 plus seater 4 times a year. Do it. Mm-hmm. All right, some things on the board that we have not gotten into. Kaku from the Red Bulls. Reportedly, every team in the hemisphere is looking at Kaku. But Christian Dyer says Tijuana is a club to watch for Kaku. He's been linked to Club America before. He's been linked to other teams in the Eastern Conference and MLS. I don't know who. But Dyer says watch out for Tijuana and Kaku. I don't think Kaku is at the Red Bulls next year at all. Tom Bogert with an update on Brian Reynolds of Dallas. The top 3 clubs still interested are Roma, Juventus, and who, John?
Ruga.
Just glad you remembered this time. That's per Tom Bogert's source, and Tom Bogert is not an anonymous Twitter account that started a few weeks ago with 600 followers, so I'm going to believe Tom Bogert's sources. Bogert says Fiorentina could be a major player in the end. That would be a little bit of a surprise. Roma and who, John?
Brugge.
They're really close to agreeing the transfer money amount with Dallas. Juve has set on personal terms with Reynolds, but they have not set the transfer side. People are saying Kaku to Atlanta. No, I don't think so. I like Mataflow's suggestion. Club always ready in Bolivia. That's where Kaku needs to go to. That's where he needs to go. Minnesota, according to Jeff Reuter of The Athletic, is intending to bring back Osvaldo Alonso. Free agent, sources say, and Jeff is also not an anonymous Twitter account with 600 followers that started in the last few weeks. Sources tell Jeff that the club has made a competitive offer in hopes of keeping Alonso for the rest of his career, plus whatever comes next. So they really want to keep him around for the long haul. So that's pretty cool. I think he's probably going to get the best offer from Minnesota to stay. Yeah. In the Daily Mail over the last maybe 48 hours, Lewis Morgan of Miami being monitored. Yes, I'm sure he's being monitored because he had a good year. Monitored by Premier League strugglers Sheffield United and Championship side Reading. 24 years old. He was Miami's best player. He was not looked at, like Matuidi, like Gonzalo Higuain, like Pizarro, but he was the best player. And it'd be very interesting to see what kind of offers he could get from a Sheffield United or a Reading. $5 million? $5 million would maybe be in the ballpark.
Yeah, Sheffield United need all the offensive help they can get.
Hey, Lewis Morgan's done it. He's been good. So if he gets the opportunity, I'm all on board. There's some reports, and I haven't seen it confirmed in American media yet, but some reports out of Serbia that they will be playing matches in the United States and the Dominican Republic in January, which would line up with the January camp that they normally do for the national team and that Greg Berhalter has talked about for this upcoming January and talked about wanting to have a game. So Serbia would bring just domestic players to this. They don't currently have a manager because they fired their manager after failing to qualify for the Euros. So I don't know what kind of quality you're getting. I don't know if the game is really all that important in this camp. It's more about the camp and just having something at the end of it. So stay tuned on that one. Stay tuned on the upcoming U.S. Soccer election process. Kobe Jones has announced that he is running for vice president. The vice president spot has opened up because Cindy Parlow-Cone moved up from VP to president when Cordero left. So Kobe Jones is running, and Kobe has done a lot of stuff in U.S. Soccer outside of the broadcast side, which he's great. I love his stuff on the Liga MX games. I've really enjoyed Kobe on those games, but Kobe's done a lot behind the scenes. He hasn't been out in front of the cameras looking for attention for a lot of the different things he's done, trying to deal with, inequalities in the game. He's done a lot of stuff in the Soccer for Social Change area. He said, like many of us, I have experienced racial inequality and seen the gender inequality that plagues our society and game. I'm ready to contribute to make a difference and ensure that U.S. Soccer reflects the diversity of our families, friends, and teammates. As the vice president, I want to ensure more opportunities are available to the next generation. I love it. I think Kobe would be a great fit here, and he's done a lot of different things that he brings to the table after playing. And he has coached a little bit, and he's been involved on the broadcast side. He's been involved in MLS. He's been involved in the national teams. He's done work with Special Olympics. He's a part owner of Angel City FC in the NWSL. Kobe's a great fit here. So I love this idea, and I have not heard of any other candidates just yet. Would love to hear more of what Kobe has to say, but I love the idea, and I'm glad to see him stepping up because the Federation needs it. They need that kind of support.
Yeah, and with everything that Kobe has done for the sport, multiple fronts, I'm with you. I'm really looking forward to seeing how his candidacy continues to grow as a part of this whole thing. Yeah,
it's a big one, and I think at times people maybe forget about that generation, and Kobe was one of the younger guys in that World Cup '94 team, and he went on and had a long, long career in MLS and maybe was one of those bridge players in that 2002 era with that great run in the World Cup. So he needs to be involved, and people need to be asking him about his experiences, and he brings a lot to the table. So I think it's a great fit. Other news, if you didn't see it, DC United appointed Danita Johnson as the head of business operations, making her the first black president in Major League Soccer. It's another big, big deal. Third woman to hold such a role in the history of the league. First black president. She comes over from the LA Sparks of the WNBA. She was the president and COO there. During her time with the Sparks, the team led the league in corporate sponsorship dollars earned, saw a 50% increase in ticket sales from 2014 to 2017. So she's got straight-up results to bring to the table for a team that needs corporate sponsorship dollars and needs ticket sales. And she has done that in the WNBA. She should be able to come in and do that in MLS. Great hire by DC.
No doubt about it. And the response on social media to the hire, you see everybody on the LA side attached to the Sparks and the Sparks community in the WNBA looking forward to seeing what she can do with MLS, and the anticipation and just the reinforcement from the WNBA community that DC United is getting themselves a good one for their front office from what she was able to create and to do for the Sparks. You're getting a good one at DC United, and they want to see her succeed like nobody's business.
Going back to Kobe Jones real quick, Christopher Abel says, so now we have an owner of a club running for VP of the Federation. That's totally not a conflict of interest. Ooh, it gets worse in a lot of other places around the world. You're not going to find a completely non-conflict of interest situation. You won't. It won't happen. The American soccer community has grown a lot over the years, but I can say from what I've seen in Georgia, you're not going to find somebody who would be interested in getting involved in a committee at the state federation level, being somebody who's voted to the board. You're not going to find somebody who's not attached to a club. Like, there's not somebody out there who is completely independent of everything who would want to be in that role. They just don't exist. If you want to draw the line about owners of teams or front office people of teams, it's a little bit different, but the people who are involved in these kinds of areas are going to be the ones who are most interested in serving in these kinds of roles. You need to create all of the different areas where, does he have to recuse himself on votes involving the NWSL that the Federation would have, which isn't that many, to be perfectly honest. Sure, whatever rules you got to put in place, but you're not going to find people who have zero conflicts of interest who want to do these things. It's just the reality of it. So you've got to have the rules in place to manage it. From every interaction I've ever had with Kobe Jones and every interaction I've ever heard about Kobe Jones, great integrity. So I wouldn't expect it to be an issue here.
Yeah, and to your point, it would be extremely rare for someone who's not attached to the sport to just parachute into a situation to say, hey, I'm interested and I want to do X. And so there's always going to be a relationship somewhere. And obviously you can recuse in certain situations, but there's always going to be a relationship with every aspect of the sport. Yeah,
it just is. It's really hard to avoid, especially in a situation like this where it's not a paid role. He's not like trying to get a job. He's volunteering to do it. So you're just not going to find that many volunteers who don't have some kind of a conflict of interest, sadly. A couple other things from around the world. Napoli. They won their appeal, finally, on the third try, about that decision where Juve was given a 3-0 win when Napoli was told by their local health department that they could not travel to Turin for a game. And Juventus did the whole dog and pony show with acting like they were about to play. And then Napoli was given a 1-point deduction on top of that. So finally, after all of this, they're going to have to replay the game. The Italian Olympic Committee confirmed on its website that its guarantee board, which is the highest tribunal in Italian sport, accepted the appeal, ordered that the match will have to be played. Andrea Pirlo threw a little bit of shade at Napoli for, I guess, winning their appeal, saying that something about other clubs have had players missing and this and that. That was always Juventus's thing, was that, well, they could have played the game because they just didn't want to play because they were missing some players due to COVID. And Napoli's like, our health board told us we can't travel. What are we supposed to do?
Yeah.
So a lot of it comes down to the confusion over the rules on COVID-19 and Italian soccer. Juventus got spanked yesterday by Fiorentina, and captain Leonardo Bonucci has apologized to the club's fans for the team's display and for his woeful display. His mistakes led to 2 of the 3 goals, gifted them several other chances. Bonucci apologized for that. He needed to. That was bad. A team to watch in Spain, if you have not had the chance to just yet, is Celta de Vigo. Now, they fired their manager not that long ago, Eduardo Caldet, who was previously at Racing in Argentina, then moved to Internacional, is doing very well with them in Brazil. He took the job at Celta. Since he took over, they've been the best team in Spain. 4 straight wins in league play. They won a Copa del Rey match as well. They've scored the most goals in that time. They've conceded the fewest. Now they're only 2 points out of a European spot. Really interesting, some of the things about Caldet. There's a great piece over at The Guardian from Sid Lowe, who covers the Spanish game like no other. A couple of stories here. So Franco Cervi, who played with Caldet or played for Caldet, remembered, Caldet yelling at him on the field, like, take him on. If it goes wrong, no worries, blame me. And he's done that with the team at Celta. He's telling them to let it go and to play and stop being scared, and that he would take all the responsibility if it doesn't go well. Caldet said, make no mistake, the message is play good football, and to play good football, you need balls. He's not talking about the balls to play the game.
Great
balls,
cojones, etc.
Yes. Balls isn't showing yourself about. It's wanting the ball, playing it, combining with teammates. Their previous manager, very defensive, wanted to protect the team, wanted to be organized, wanted to minimize the weaknesses, wanted to sit deep, wanted to bring the ball from the back in a slow way. Chacho Caldet has gone the other way, pressing from the front, everybody pushing up high. They've been really good defensively on top of it. They're scoring 2.6 goals per game. They were scoring 0.6 before that. They have went 335 minutes without conceding a goal. They're kind of playing in a 4-1-3-2, but again, it's very positional, like it's bouncing around. Little bit of a diamond kind of midfield, but it is just everybody is chasing, and if they don't win the ball initially, they'll commit the foul to prevent the break. They haven't had a run like this at Celta in 6.5 years. So people are excited about Caldet. Ricky Ricardo with a subscription. Thank you, Ricky. You are the man. Thanks to all the subscribers. Thanks to all the new subscribers. And thanks to the people who are taking advantage of the Amazon Prime stuff, because it's just you have a subscription and you want to give it to us. We're really thankful for that. And you can join the Discord, and things get very silly in there at times. Lionel Messi, all-time top scorer for a single club after his goal yesterday. 644 goals for Barcelona. That's madness. He broke Pele's record for Santos. He's going to add a few more, at least a few more with Barcelona. We'll see how many more. We'll see how long he sticks around. All the conversations about the presidential election are going to continue to ramp up at Barcelona. Victor Font, who is trying to make up ground now, he has announced that he's reached pre-agreements with different companies so that UNICEF will be back on the front of the club shirt, which is very cool. We've mentioned the story that he has said. I mean, this is from Victor Font. If I win the elections and Xavi doesn't come to be the manager, I commit to paying for every socio, every member's season ticket out of my own pocket.
Wow.
Xavi has not officially endorsed any of the candidates. He has said he has a good relationship with Font. Xavi also said that Joan Laporta, who's also running for the presidency, he would be returning to the presidency. Xavi said that Laporta is the best president that he had during his time at Camp Nou. That hasn't helped Font's campaign. because Font has made basically his whole campaign around bringing Xavi back to the club. Xavi has said he's very happy where he's at, so we will see. News that broke this morning involving England and Atletico Madrid. Kieran Trippier has been suspended for 10 weeks, fined £70,000 for alleged breaches of the Football Association's betting rules. He was found guilty of 4 of 7 betting offenses. He's going to miss as many as 14 games because this is a ban in his home country, but it's going to ban him from playing for Atleti. 14 games, first leg against Chelsea in the Champions League and the Spanish Super Cup. Have you seen any more information about this?
No, I have not. Because I was going to ask, it's like, okay, so what are you allegedly betting on? Is it on your own side? It's the details for me. I'm like, dude, that's. Woo. He's denied 7, 4 found proven. Mm-hmm. Okay, ban. It just says that the ban relates to a certain rule where a participant provides to any other person any information relating to football which the participant has obtained by virtue of his or her position within the game and which is not publicly available at that time. The participant shall be in breach of this rule where any of that information is used by that other person or for in relation to betting. So it sounds like whoever he was giving this information to, he was getting inside intel and he was giving it to whomever.
Ooh, that's very, very bad. Programming update before we finish off with some other news and notes. We will do a normal show tomorrow. Stoppage time today will be normal over at 92.9 The Game's Facebook page. No live show on Friday.
Right.
Power Hour on Saturday. Now, I know next week you've got stuff.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the championship.
Georgia High School Football Championship. So you are out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Correct.
Okay. So we will have some interesting shows Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We're going to have to figure out how to do the Steve Apolinski read, unless John's going to do 3 unique reads for us that we just drop in.
I could do that.
That could get interesting. It is kind of his signature thing. We don't want to take that away from John, so maybe that's what we have to do. What's going on?
Sorry, it's messages. It's our own DM chain.
Jarrett's popping off at the mouth?
And Nick.
Oh, well, I mean, that's no surprise.
Okay, so my assignment after the Power Hour on Saturday is to do 3 unique Apolinski reads for next week.
3 unique reads for our good friend Steve Apolinski, yes.
Right, okay.
And they will get dropped in. That will be your contribution.
Cool. All right, so I will do that for next week, and then I will be back on New Year's Eve day.
There we go. And yes, we will do normal shows on New Year's Eve day and New Year's Day. So no show on Friday morning live. Try to have some taped content for you. Other stuff on the news front. Chris Ashley wants Discord members to submit reads for Steve Apolinski. That'd be kind of funny, actually. Have at it, Discord. Go for it if you want to. Submit it in the Discord. That could be fun. I want to see what happens. Okay. Arsenal. Yeah, not good. Still not good. No. Mikel Arteta is not good. It's not good at all. They lost. Again, they are out of the Gummy Bear Cup. I don't know if that's good or bad, but they're out of the Gummy Bear Cup. Manchester City owns the Gummy Bear Cup. They've been so good at the Gummy Bear Cup. It was 1-1, then ended up 4-1.
Yes.
It did not really inspire a lot of confidence. Dire straits ahead of a season-defining festive schedule, Mikel Arteta said. They have lost 5 of their last 7 in the Premier League. They're in 15th place with 14 points. Worst start to a season since 1974-1975. Yeah.
Woof.
Yeah.
If you brought that back another coach who was different.
He doesn't want to go back there. He's sipping on, nice things at FIFA, like being a consultant about things. He's not going to go back to that nonsense.
Suggest rule changes.
Yeah.
For the throw-in.
Arsene, fix the offside rule. That's what you need to fix. Fix that. You don't have to go back to Arsenal. Don't go back to Arsenal right now. Arsenal, please, just keep fixing rules for us. That'll be good. I'm all on board with this.
Because right now Arsenal is in fact arse. That is not in dispute.
Wow, you said that.
I'm not wrong.
You went there.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
You can't be surprised. I cannot be the first person that went there, though.
You are the first person I've seen go there because it's so bad.
It fits.
It's so bad.
It fits their play if it fits.
I have not seen it in my scanning of Arsenal conversation to go there, but
okay,
you're not necessarily wrong. But wow, that's bad. Speaking of bad, Steve Bruce, Newcastle United.
What now?
They lost 1-0 in the Gummy Bear Cup to Brentford.
They did.
Steve Bruce said the criticism leveled at him in the wake of the loss was fully justified, but it would not force him to step down. Second half volley for Brentford gave them the win, denied Newcastle their first League Cup semifinal berth in over 4 decades. Furious reaction on social media. Fans calling for Steve Bruce to be sacked. Have you seen Newcastle play in the last year plus under Steve Bruce?
Yeah. What took you so long?
No, there's people who have been complaining about him being sacked or wanting him to be sacked for quite a while. This is not new. They did not just magically appear after this game.
No.
But it is a growing conversation after this one. Let's look at the table.
I think Brentford's like 6th.
Oh, I don't care about Brentford. We're talking about Newcastle. They're in 12th. They are 8 points clear of the drop zone. 5-5-3. He's not getting fired. Alex Pacine's furious, by the way. He's not going to get fired. They are like in their little spot. They're in their safe place. Yeah. I mean,
him and Roy Hodgson, they're in their safe patch.
The safe patch of mediocrity.
Yes, it's exactly right.
8 to 13 is the safe patch of mediocrity in the Premier League, and Steve Bruce and Roy Hodgson know it very well. Big Sam's hoping to get into that safe patch of mediocrity, but.
Nope.
We'll see about that. That might be Big Sam coming down the tracks right now. I don't know. That sounded like a big truck. Maybe Big Sam's heard all the trash talking. I don't know. Badger wants to know if Tony Pulis is available. He is not, but he might be soon.
He's at Sheffield Wednesday, actually.
He might be available soon because they might not be able to pay him, and they might not want to pay him.
Yeah. Tony Pulis is part and parcel to one of Sheffield Wednesday's worst starts as a club.
It's not good. We have some League Two news.
That is true.
Ian Holloway, who has been at a lot of different places, is a very interesting character. He resigned from 20th place League Two side Grimsby Town via Twitter. Why did he resign via Twitter?
Don't know why he resigned via Twitter.
Did he know he was going to get fired? And he just said, I can tweet this out fast before I get fired?
No, what he said was he felt uncomfortable about.
Did he feel uncomfortable because they're in 20th place?
No.
He should.
Apparently, their current management is selling the club, and so
because they're in 20th place,
I guess so.
And they might be going to the conference.
They're 6 points clear. Only one team gets relegated out of League Two into conference play.
Yeah, okay.
And so they're 6 points clear of that right now.
Yeah,
there are teams that are worse.
They're in a not quite safe zone, but they should be okay. Well, 6 points with a whole lot of games to play. It's not that safe.
Yeah. So they've got 2/3 of their schedule still here to go. So here's what Holloway said on Twitter.
Did he resign on Twitter because of social distancing?
No.
No? Okay.
He said, as I said recently, and this is Ian Holloway talking.
Okay.
As I said recently, I intend to be fully honest with you, the supporters. Contact was made by the new owners to me on several occasions before the takeover, which I felt was inappropriate and told them as such. This is the key factor in my decision. Why? The relationship between the incoming new owners, board, and manager is so important. It needs to be strong for a club to succeed, and we got off on the wrong footing. Therefore, that relationship will be strained from the off, which is bad for the club. This is a club that if everybody has its best interests at heart, can progress onwards and upwards. That is their challenge. That is their honor. I sincerely wish them all the best going forward, and I implore them to communicate regularly and openly with the fans.
Sounds like there's a little more to it. I'm left wondering about the rest of the story.
Of course.
Who was it that would do the old radio bits?
Paul Harvey.
Paul Harvey.
Yeah, and now you know the rest of the story.
We don't, though, and we need to. We need Paul Harvey on the case here because there's got to be more to it than that. So the new owners, who I guess are new owners, like they're
wannabe owners, according to Ian.
Wannabe. Okay, so they reached out to the manager of the team they're trying to buy, and he said it was inappropriate. Something happened in the conversation. Like, the idea that they reached out doesn't feel wrong.
No, it's like, you're coming in and you want to see what's going on. You want to find out from the coach what his philosophy is, what he thinks about what's going on. You want his feedback as a part of you coming in to be the new owner.
If he was being told to do certain things that were different than what the current owners were telling him, then yes, completely agree. And maybe he doesn't want to say that, and that's fine. But yeah, there is a rest of the story here that we're not getting, because that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
So, yes, and Grimsby Town, the fans, obviously, Holloway was there less than a year, it's like 11 months. Fans are pretty hot about it, and they're telling him just go.
I like Ian Holloway's hats.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, they're kind of similar to what you have.
Yeah, I like his hats. I can respect that, but yeah, there's more to it here. I'd love to know the whole story. Very strange. Ragamuffin Mateo does not do the whiteboard, and it is not meant to be in any kind of to actual scale. Yes, it is not drawn to scale. It is drawn to be able to have room to write things on. So,
but it is a sponsorable element here at the Soccer Down.
Sure, if you want to sponsor the whiteboard, I'm all on board. I'll slap a sticker on the thing, and we'll make it work. There's lots of things that can be sponsored, by the way. If you want to do that, go for it.
Yes.
Have at it. Let's see. What else we got? The French League is going to get their TV rights back after MediaPro couldn't pay them for the rights, so that's good, so they can resell them. Yeah. Raymond Domenech is going to be the new manager at Nantes. He has not managed since the disastrous 2010 World Cup with France. He has not managed a club since 1993 at Lyon. And he's coming back. That's going to be a fun one to watch with Nantes.
Yes.
Mexico, we talked about their plan for international competition. That will be interesting. It has been presented to Liga MX owners. They're trying to get everything approved to be able to jump back into CONMEBOL in 2022. And Cruz Azul, their job. Remember, they had the Cruz Azuleada, where they fell after a 4-0 lead, which they have a tendency to do. Their manager said, I'm out. That guy is being linked to Club America, which is craziness to me. And the Cruz Azul job, Matias Almeida's name has come up because it comes up with every job in Mexico. And Hugo Sanchez, who has not managed since 2012 at Pachuca. He wants the job. And he said on ESPN, I want the job. My people are talking to them. I want the job.
Wow. Okay.
No, Hugo. No Cruz Azul. That would be very bad.
That would be an off-field Cruz Azuleada.
It would be very, very bad. Throw whatever you want at San Jose and try to get Matias Almeida if you want to go down that road. Everybody seems to have tried, but nobody can get the deal done. I'm surprised his name hasn't been linked to Club America, to be honest. That would make a lot of sense. Tesco wants Greg Vanney to go to Club America. That's actually not a bad hire. That would be wild. I'd be all in for that. Greg Vanney turns the LA Galaxy down to go to Club America. That'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be absolutely great. He fits the profile for them, too. I love it. I love the idea. Shiva What do you think of Palacios? He won an award yesterday, up-and-coming young center back, left back. For LAFC, the young player of the CONCACAF Champions League. Modaflow loves Palacios. Good, very talented player. A lot of people were surprised he went to LAFC because he was linked, I want to say he was linked to Barcelona, a couple other big European clubs, and came to LAFC instead. Did well in Holland and Ecuador, as Modaflow chimes in. Very, very good player. Very, very good player. Great tournament. A lot to go for him. He's going to be a really big sale for LAFC at some point. Had a good tournament. I think it was smart for him to come to LAFC rather than Barcelona at the time. And I wonder if you're going to see this happen more and more now that people are rating MLS a little bit higher. So I'm intrigued by it. I wish that MLS would get Moises Caicedo. Looks like he's going to Manchester United. It's not done yet. You're getting more and more talk about it. I think there's some still final things to sort out. It sounds like the sell-on clause is a major part of it. I would love if somebody would come in and just say, hey, they're offering you 5 and they only want to give you 15% or whatever of a sell-on clause. We'll offer you 7 or 8 and we'll give you 20% of the sell-on clause. I wish somebody in MLS would come in and do it. I really wish. No, Palacios won't be a bigger sale than Rossi. Rossi's valued at like $22 million, Shiva. Rossi will be the big sale. Brian Rodriguez won't be fully realized because he hasn't played enough, but he's been talked about in $10 million offers, allegedly, from Europe. Palacios won't be that yet, but he will get something for sure. Defenders just don't get that much in general. So that's just where it stands. Let's see. Anything else? Christopher Abel, disappointed Atlanta didn't get Piojo. I'm not. If you want a team to be based on style, then no, you want Gabriel Heinze over Piojo. If you want to avoid shenanigans, you don't want Piojo. Right. Or if you want to avoid shenanigans, you want to stay away from Piojo. I think Herrera is a really good fit for some clubs, and if you have better options, he's not a fit for Atlanta. I don't think he'd be bad in Atlanta, but he wouldn't add to what Atlanta United is. Heinze will add to it, and it seems like that's a big focus here of that idea of the way you play. And for a club like Atlanta, look, you don't have to go in that direction. You could go the Real Madrid route where it's like we're just going to sign the best players and we're going to get a manager to put them in the best spots and keep it simple and play. They're trying to do more than that, which I can really commend them for, and I'm excited to see. I don't think Herrera would have fit with the culture at the organization. I don't think that would have worked. We'll see where he ends up. We'll see. I mean, he had said he didn't want to go to MLS yet. He said good things about MLS. He said he wouldn't leave Club America to go to MLS. Well, he was asked to leave Club America, so maybe he will go to MLS. We'll find out. I don't think Europe's going to happen for him. The Colombia national team job has gotten all kinds of weird. Everybody expected Rueda to go from Chile to Colombia, but it sounds like Colombia doesn't want to pay an exit clause to get him out of his contract, so they might not bring Rueda in. Maybe that opens up the door for Herrera now because his name had been mentioned. He needs work. They could throw a nice contract at him, and he could go manage Colombia in the upcoming World Cup qualifiers, which that would be a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. Piojo on the loose in South America.
Oh.
I'm in. That would be lots of fun. Christopher Abel wants shenanigans, by the way. You're going to get different shenanigans with Gabriel Heinze on the touchline. If you want shenanigans, Chris, I think you're going to enjoy Gabriel Heinze on the touchline during matches, in his weekly media availability, and his post-game press conferences. You're going to enjoy him if you want shenanigans. It's different shenanigans, though. He will just tell you how he feels, and he won't really hold back on it.
Yeah, it's not histrionics. It's
yes, there you go. It's not histrionics. Good call.
Yeah, it's different. It'll be a fun watch and a fun interpret. It'll be a fun read and a fun watch just to see Heinze put his stamp on what's going on.
Yeah. All right, last question from Chris. Will Rossi sell for more than Miguel Almiron? What do you think, John?
No.
I don't think so either. I think he would have been close pre-pandemic, but I don't think he would have quite gotten there.
Yeah.
And I think with the effects of the pandemic, he won't. I think 20 is kind of where my head's at there. 20 is what I'm thinking for him. And the thing is, I mean, they've got to make decisions. Now, look, they're not in Champions League next year, so that will affect it. That's another reason, as Jacob Myers pointed out at the Columbus Dispatch, the BWP signing for Columbus makes a lot of sense because they've got Champions League early on. They need a veteran to be able to come in and either play in Champions League some, be off the bench there, and start in early season MLS games where Zardes might play in Champions League. You need that, so totally get it. LAFC doesn't have that. LAFC's got to make a decision on Rossi because I think he's at his most valuable. They got to make a decision on Rodriguez because offers are on the table in 8 figures. They probably got to make a decision on Vela in terms of what the long term is. Are they going to let the contract play out and let him walk? Are they going to try to sell him because it sounds like there's interest in Mexico? Are they going to try to do a new deal with him? You could be in a position where all 3 designated players are in some state of flux for LAFC. And that doesn't even get into if an offer comes in for an Atuesta, for a Palacios. I think those are wild cards for who? Well, Blessing's a smaller one, but yeah, that would affect your depth. It's going to be a weird offseason for them. They're going to need to make some moves out of all that list. I don't know how much. I just don't. Chris also said about Barco being more than Almiron, and I think he could have been, if the Olympics had been this year, he'd had a good Olympics. I think he could have been. He won't be now. Again, the pandemic is part of it, and his injuries have been part of it. And we'll see. We'll see what happens. I do think Gabriel Heinze can get a lot of good things out of Ezequiel Barco. A lot of everything with Atlanta United's roster is going to be down to how the players buy in to this way of working, this way of playing, this mentality about the game. And if they don't, they won't be successful in it. And they won't be here for an extended period of time with Gabriel Heinze. If they do buy in, you could see some players make big jumps really, really quickly. So I think we've seen that at Leeds with Bielsa. We've seen that in other spots. We saw it with Heinze at Vélez. So it's exciting to see. All right, that'll do it for us this morning. Stoppage time, 2 o'clock, facebook.com/929thegame. This evening, couple of big games out of South America. Big one in Argentina with Estudiantes and Defensa y Justicia. The winner will get a Copa Libertadores spot for next year. So that's huge. It's all about the way the spots are determined over a full year. It's craziness, just a spot's on the line. And then second leg of the quarterfinal between Boca and Racing. Boca's hosting Racing, trailing 1-0. That's at 7:30 on the BN family of networks, or you can watch it on Fanatis, fntz.co. You jump the gun, /soccer down here. You can get your free trial. You can get a subscription. It helps benefit the show. Fanatis, great partner of ours, great product. And I'll be watching Boca and Racing. That's all this evening. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Mucha plata, y'all.
Mucha plata, y'all.